7 days away, so a week from today. Right? It's Tuesday. The 16th is when we will see the first match here at Kansas City Stadium.
I'll be there all weekend. I will be there Saturday and Sunday doing FIFA Fan Fest.
Yeah.
Picking up my credentials after work today, actually.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of work going on this week. You got the Royals Thursday. You got some fan festing this weekend.
And then I got more fan fest. I'm going to be a busy boy in the rest of June.
Who's a busy boy?
This guy's a busy boy. Yeah.
He's a busy boy.
He's a busy boy. So
is Sterling a busy boy?
If you want to see
I don't know that you want to see
a guy talk about soccer who doesn't know a ton of soccer, Saturday and Sunday, I'm your man.
You don't have to know about soccer to enjoy the World Cup being in town.
I'm just planning on bringing a Vuvuzela on stage and just really getting after it.
Yeah, people will love that.
Right?
They loved those, man. It was so fun. We'll hear from Les Norman coming up at noon. We're going to break the norm. The Chiefs will talk today. We don't know which players will be available just after 1 o'clock, after they finish their first day of practice with mandatory minicamp today. We'll find out who's in attendance and who is not in attendance. I guarantee I know one person that's not in attendance right now. Rashee Rice won't be there this week. We found out. He will not be there.
Yet.
But mandatory minicamp going on today, tomorrow, and Thursday. We'll hear from the Chiefs today at 1 o'clock, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then Thursday in the 11 o'clock hour, Andy Reid will talk. I don't know if Andy Reid will talk today or tomorrow. It's just listed as players. Select players today and tomorrow, and we don't know which players those are, but that comes up in the 1 o'clock hour as the last 3 days of the off-season program for the Chiefs before training camp take place today, tomorrow, and Thursday. 913-912-4810. Let's get into it. I want to start with Game 3 last night in the NBA Finals. Tons of stuff that we'll get into today. But let's start with Game 3 of the NBA Finals, the Spurs winning last night. Sterling, you didn't put the Sterling stamp on it. But you did pick the Spurs.
I did.
But without the Sterling stamp meant that the Spurs had a chance of winning.
Yeah, correct. When I stamp it, it's my stamp means you lose.
Yeah, you can't even triple stamp a double stamp.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
You can't. And when you triple stamp the double stamp, that team particularly that you pick wins, or loses, I should say. And the Spurs last night go and win the game. I think Curtis had the stat of, I believe, in the history of the NBA Finals, the higher seeded team that hosts the first two games had never gone down 3-0. And so it was like, okay, then you should probably bet a lot of money on the Spurs, because history says that history every single year has said that the Spurs are not going to lose this game. They're the higher seeded team. They lost the first two. They'll find a way. You don't get to that position by having that higher seed and then go down 3-0, you'll find a way to fight and win that game. Which is why you also picked the Spurs.
I thought Wemby was going to take over, which he did. And I did think part of it was going to be, I thought at least early on, which I think we did see, I go, the moment might be a little too big for some of the Knicks. I mean, you're finally back at home. You took 2 games on the road. Madison Square Garden was rocking.
God,
the president's there.
Yeah.
One of the coolest, by the way, that singer who did the national anthem,
I didn't see
unreal, dude. Mind blown. One of the best national anthems I've ever heard. It was phenomenal. And just, I think you saw a little bit of, oh my gosh, this is since 73.
Yeah.
Since 1973, the city of New York is here.
How old were you in 99?
I was 5.
5 years old. Michael, how old were you in 99?
Would have been -3.
Very good. The last time a finals game was hosted there in Madison Square Garden was 1999.
And so I thought the moment might be a little big, especially early on, which we did see. I'm never worried about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, in any moment, any time, that dude is always calm. And he almost brought them back late. He hit that huge 3 late.
And he also hit that big shot with 2 seconds on the shot clock that was out of bounds when he came off the screen, turned and knocked it down. As soon as he let it go, Sterling, we all knew that was going
in. And Jordan Clarkson had a couple of tough buckets.
Well, shocker you go Jordan Clarkson.
New York had a couple, and OG did too.
Michael, shocker that he went Jordan. He pointed out Jordan Clarkson.
He did have a couple really tough buckets.
Agreed. But of all of the plays last night that took place in Game 3, Jordan Clarkson gets a shout out
today.
Dude,
he had a couple of tough buckets.
I'm mind blown. I couldn't be more shocked as Brendan Sorsby is eligible, and Jordan Clarkson was mentioned by Sterling.
But the Spurs were able to hold on. De'Aaron Fox, if you would have missed that shot, we're having a different conversation today, because and maybe we don't, maybe they still hold on and win, but that shot by De'Aaron Fox was clutch, especially when you are. I like De'Aaron Fox, but you're De'Aaron Fox.
Well, you've
had a little bit of a rough game here and there. You've been a great.
He was 3 of 13 before that shot.
He was a great facilitator in this game. I love the way he can get downhill. He is still one of the shiftiest. He reminds me a little bit of, not at all the player, but just how quick they are. A little John Wall-esque. Remember when John Wall came up and you're like,
it's that Kentucky in him, right?
He gets by you so quick. De'Aaron has that. But then when he pulled up, I go, oh, man. You don't want Wemby taking that shot. You don't want Stephen Castle.
Wemby taking that shot in the previous game.
Stephen Castle taking that shot, who's been really good in this game.
Yeah,
Dylan Harper don't pass the ball to, because Dylan Harper had missed like 5 straight threes up to that point. I just thought it was a great game. I went with the Spurs for a multitude of reasons, and I'm glad they held on, because now this series gets a little more enticing, right? If they would have lost this game, you could just pack it up. Knicks were sweeping. Now I think we have a series, and this one, in my opinion, is going 7.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the pressure fully falls on the Knicks to be able to win in Game 4. But the De'Aaron Fox thing is interesting because he steps up and takes that shot. He ends up being 4 of 14 from the floor, and like I said, he was 3 of 13 before that shot, 0 of 5 from 3. But I have felt the last couple of games that De'Aaron Fox was a huge key to this, because you can't simply rely on Wemby and Castle every game. Now, you mentioned he was being a good distributor. You had 8 assists in this one. But I'm not so worried about the 4 part. What I think is important is the 14. Because even if he's struggling, he has to be assertive. He can't go into his own mind and say, I just got to distribute. Because then you don't take advantage of what he brings to the team. And he can knock down those shots. I mean, he's a phenomenal scorer. He did that in Sacramento. And so stepping up and hitting that shot, I think, can be absolutely humongous for the Spurs, because if you get those games from Castle, and if Fox starts to get the confidence to knock down a shot like that, which you know he has because he's been a really good player. He's one of my favorite players because he was one of the nicest, best people to cover. He was awesome. Like his life has been, and his life, it's awesome. Great dude, who's spent his entire adult life in Lexington, Kentucky, Sacramento, California, and San Antonio. He's a big city guy, right? Just a big city, stars everywhere. But I really like De'Aaron Fox, so I might be finding myself a little biased here in him hitting that shot. But I do think he becomes a key, because you know what you're going to get from Wemby, or you expect to know what you're going to get from Wemby. Castle stepping up and playing like that. If Fox can play with more confidence, I think it becomes the key factor for this team if they're able to win, 3 of the next 5 games.
I think it's both. I think it's him and Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper can't.
4 games, I guess. 3 of the next.
Dylan Harper can't have 18 shots and make 5.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because Dylan Harper is maybe their 3rd best scorer. If you wanted to go that route, potentially 3rd best scorer, that off the bench, he's your microwave. He just really struggled in this particular game. Landry really struggled in this particular game, and that's why they turned a little bit to Jordan Clarkson. And Clarkson, he's a definition of a microwave. He's got that little bit of a, 13 minutes, 10 points?
Well, you know you're going to turn to somebody from the state of Missouri.
You have to.
If that happens, you're going to turn to somebody that's got the connection.
It's either Landry or Jordan.
Landry or Jordan Clarkson. I mean, Park Hill or Mizzou. It's one of the two. You know what I mean?
I will say, too, early midway point, the Spurs strategy of leaving Josh Hart open was killing them, because what do you get, 3 straight or ish? And
then still let him shoot, though.
But then eventually, as the game went on, we saw a few more misses. Josh Hart's a great player. He's a really valuable piece because of his rebounding, his assists, his defense, the occasional ability to knock down a shot. But you'll take 4 of 7. but the 4 kind of came consecutively. Then as the game progressed, the Spurs game plan of it's almost like you let Melvin Counsell Jr. shoot, right? You're like, we're going to let him shoot. He might knock down a few, but
he might end up being 3 of 11 after starting out 3 of 3.
Do you want him shooting, or do you want? I know in this game it didn't work out, but like Michael Bridges shooting the 3, you'll take Josh Hart.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. One of the things that I've seen come from the end of the Oklahoma City series and now these first 3 games, and last night as well, whether people were rooting for the Knicks or the Spurs, it always depends your rooting interest and where your sort of biases lie. Again, and I offered mine up when talking about De'Aaron Fox. Is Wemby becoming a villain this quickly in his career?
Wow.
Because, I mean, we saw how he played at times against Oklahoma City. And the irony of Game 7, of all of the people that hate how Oklahoma City plays and the flopping reel of SGA, that in Game 7, the winning team was the one that did a lot more of the falling to the floor and flopping like Wemby, and was playing with a little bit of the childish kind of physicality that he can get pretty annoyed and react that way. I mean, it was a flagrant foul on Wemby in the first quarter. There's no doubt about it.
Right?
Against Brunson.
Yeah,
it was a flagrant foul. It's a flagrant foul on, in February. Then it should be a flagrant foul in Game 3. If he picks up the flagrant foul there, he is one flagrant away from a 1-game suspension when you add up the points. And I saw them, talking about that at different times last night, and some of the fallout, and reading up on it a little bit more today. Because I didn't hear the commentary at halftime or post game. Because again, I watched the fourth quarter, and after that was over, I then went back and watched the first 3 quarters while people were doing the interviews and talking and all of that stuff. So what everybody had to say about it, didn't see, but just my own personal feelings watching it. And I'm like, I wonder if, because SGA went from, oh man, this guy is so good, he's coming out of nowhere, MVP, Oklahoma City, what a great story, to bleep the Thunder, this sucks, I hate SGA, that style of basketball is terrible, let's see somebody else go and win and prove that you can't just flop your way to another NBA final, you can't free throw hunt and foul hunt your way to an NBA championship. And then we're seeing Wemby get frustrated but react in a more physical way outside of what the rules are of basketball, even though that wasn't called. And then the next possession, Josh Hart gets called for a technical.
Yeah.
Also, I'm okay with them not upgrading the Castle common foul to a flagrant, because I thought Brunson flopped.
Yeah.
He was going for the rebound.
Yes.
Brunson was trying to play that one up.
I'm cool mostly calling everything normal fouls.
But I thought it was flagrant on Wemby.
But Wemby was obvious.
Yeah, and I think and again, this is where, my just humor me here for a second, okay?
Okay.
This is where the LeBron arguments come in. I was watching it last night, and I'm thinking to myself, how would the game be framed if Wemby were LeBron, and how amazing Wemby played, but it was Castle and Fox who hit the biggest shots last night to help the Spurs win?
Oh,
it would be LeBron was amazing, but he couldn't do it when it counted. He had to have somebody else bail him out. It's like the Kyrie Irving Game 7 shot that he hit. When it's ignored that LeBron scored the previous 10 points in a row.
Yeah, but Kyrie's the
Kyrie's
GOAT.
3 was Kyrie is much better there. I just thought about that, but I wonder, like, in 5 years, if Wemby is hated, will it be framed that way? Will it be framed as, okay, Wemby was awesome, but what happened at the end? Wemby missed the shot in Game 2 to tie it.
Yeah.
He had the turnover, and then he doesn't take the 2 biggest shots of this game to help them win at the end. While he was dominant most of the game, when it counted, somebody else came up with the shot. And I'm not saying that's the case right now, because they don't win if Wemby isn't amazing throughout the game.
I think the difference I'll point out is it's always different when it's a center. Like with LeBron, you can have the ball in your hand. I know Wemby does up top
Fox
a lot.
had the ball in his hands. LeBron would have the ball in his hands.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
I know he's 0.4. LeBron can play 1 through 5. So
I get your point there.
Yeah,
Wemby can't get the ball. They're fighting. He's trying to get away.
Yeah, he's not bringing.
Yeah.
Oh, he was getting kind of held.
They weren't going to call it. They weren't calling a foul. Was it Towns?
Towns.
They were not calling a foul on Towns at all. Towns could have just grabbed him, landed on him, tackled him, and laid there like an offensive lineman when you pancake him and they just lay on top of him, and no foul would have been called.
It was a great. I saw Carl Anthony Towns up top, and I go, man, that should be a right tackle for the Chiefs. That should be a right tackle.
Oh man, how good of a right tackle would he?
Maybe corner.
Would he
you know, I know they got L'Jarius Sneed now, but
you got the footwork and
you got
the
6'10",
hands.
7 foot. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, Jim. Who was the tackle for the Seahawks for a while that played basketball in college?
Was it Cross?
No, I'll think of it eventually. But he played. The only reason I know is because he played basketball at Western Kentucky.
Okay.
And then he got. Then he went to decide, okay, I'm not going to be a basketball player, but my athleticism might allow me to play football. And then he was like a starting tackle for the Seahawks for a while. Anyway, that's what I'm saying for Carl Anthony Towns for the Chiefs at right tackle.
Real quick with Wimby and the should have been technical foul called to get flagrant tech, whatever you want to call it, against him. I wonder.
George Fant.
George Fant, there it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
I wonder.
You remember George Fant with the
Yeah.
basketball player in college and then switched to football after.
Wimby is 7'5", yes, or 7'4", but dude is skinny. And I know this is going to sound funny, but he's French. And I wonder how much he has been called, especially in the NBA when he gets here. Oh, he's a soft European. He's a soft French guy.
That's an interesting point.
And so I wonder if he almost overreacts to try.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
Overcompensate
But
that up,
like, hey, I'm the soft French guy. Mm-hmm. Oui.
Take this elbow.
Yes. Right.
And so I do take.
Throw around my wee-wee and show you who's
Whoa.
tough. I'm just saying, like, you said wee-wee, and that's how you speak in French, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't that mean?
His elbows are baguettes, and he's like, take this baguette. Yeah, so.
No, I appreciate it, man.
So I don't know. I do wonder if there's a case of you get to the NBA, you're young, you've been called as skinny, maybe soft, European. That's been a lot of the
Jump shooter, stands outside the three-point line,
Yeah.
isn't going to get involved in the nasty work down low.
Jokic ain't getting called that anymore, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's like,
true.
okay, we're not calling you that anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
But Wimby, I do wonder if there's a case of an overcompensation of, all right, yeah, I'm the soft French guy, here you go. I'm not saying it's right. That's not right.
Some of it also just might be immaturity, childish, and he doesn't, maybe in his life he hasn't been pushed around and played as physical as that, and it can get frustrating when you're going in for a rebound and a smaller guy boxes you out and he hits your midsection,
Yeah.
and you're like, what the hell, man? And that's going to happen because, you're 8'5".
And Jalen Brunson brings that ass. Like, he is him.
You love Jalen Brunson's ass, the way he brings it.
Well,
in the
no,
game.
but like he will box out. Josh Hart's the same way. Those guards for New York, they will box you out. They will put a body on you.
And we saw the same thing in Oklahoma City, and I can't remember who it was, but Wimby was out at the three-point line, was starting to go in for a rebound, and I can't remember who
Probably
it
Lou
was.
Dort.
It might have been Lou Dort at the free throw line, and he turned around and was
Yeah.
tough in boxing out Wimby, and Wimby hated it and just gave him a two-hand push. And it's like, well, that's a flagrant, but it's because he got boxed out physically.
Correct.
And he didn't like it, and that's what we've seen. And if you want to get in the head of Wimby, it's kind of the way to do it. And, Brunson didn't do anything wrong.
No.
And Wemby reacted that way. So we'll see as this goes. But I do think, do you agree that the pressure now shifts to the Knicks in Game 4 tomorrow night?
Yeah, 100%. Because if you leave New York without a win, that is disheartening for the fan base too. And there is so much pressure, man. Mm-hmm. So much pressure on New York to try and get a win because that place was rabid last night. Madison Square Garden was, I mean, just from a perspective of, my thoughts. I'm not a big city guy. I mean, I like going and visiting, but like I don't root for any big city teams. Small markets, baby.
Yep.
That experience, that venue, Madison Square Garden, was magical. Just prior to the game, that was magical. The first 3 minutes was what you see in movies.
More magical last night or July 3rd? Swift and Kelsey wedding at Madison Square Garden, July 3rd. More magical.
I don't give a hoot.
I think
I'm happy for them, but I
Ticket
don't.
prices are probably very similar.
The get-in prices. Yes.
But I think for me, that's a lot of pressure on New York, and who is going to be the guy that steps up? You had that magical, 13-game straight wins. Yep. You lose one. Now what happens? Does a losing streak start, or can you try and get that back? I think there's a lot of pressure, and it's funny to say by the team who's up 2-1.
Yes.
But I think we're starting to see more pressure on New York now.
Yep, I did too. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and The Kansas City Chiefs have a new chief. It's an old friend and a new guy, but an old guy. And so we'll talk about what L'Jarius Sneed's signing means, the contract, the position, the roster for the Chiefs, what the final couple days of mandatory minicamp and then into training camp in late July, what that secondary looks like with the addition of L'Jarius Sneed. Is he taking somebody else's position on the team that we thought was definitely going to be on the team? We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. More Zone next. All right, man, if you're out there and you have symptoms that could be related to low testosterone, well, Heartland Men's Health is here to help. If you are a guy that's in your 40s or 50s, maybe even earlier, because parts of your life and genetics could also mean that you start to lose testosterone a little bit earlier. Stressors, nutrition, diet, genetics, all of that can lead to that, low T symptoms. Guys in the early to mid-30s start losing 2 to 3% of their testosterone production every year. It happens gradually. Before you know it, you don't feel like the same man that you did when you're in your 20s and your 30s. But Heartland Men's Health is helping, and also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1, PDA, and more, all designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. And with low T treatments combined with the body composition programs, most men notice real improvements with more energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and also a renewed libido. It is Heartland Men's Health. Simply schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health. They'll do your lab work, have your results within 30 minutes, and then a licensed medical provider will review the results with you, help you make the decision together with the medical team. Cost of the appointment, it's $99, but you get that medical consult, you get the T, and the PSA test that we talk about a lot. And if you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, your visit, it's free. You don't pay a dime. You go there, and you're on path to help relieve some of these symptoms, and you got that consultation, the T and PSA test for free. It's Heartland Men's Health, successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today at 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and Jason sent you. 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we'll talk a little bit more about Brendan Sorsby and my shocked reaction at the NCAA teams and ADs and presidents and commissioners' shocked reaction. And also, the college football fans, that their specific takeaway from this and viewing this as one part of a story is actually carrying the water for some of the ADs and presidents in what the ADs and presidents and coaches have actually created themselves. We'll get into all of that coming up at 11 o'clock. 913-912-4810. Let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed. Signs a one-year deal up to $5 million. More than likely, once the details come out, it'll be league minimum, with the up to $5 million being not likely to be earned incentive, so that will go on to next year's salary cap, not this year's salary cap, with the rookies being signed, first-rounders, and also L'Jarius Sneed. I've seen anywhere from like 2.5 to like 5. Somewhere in there in salary cap space for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if they are to make another move, it would be going to Creed or Trey and restructuring that contract because of the flexibility they gave themselves in the signing of Mansour Delane and Peter Woods, and now the signing of L'Jarius Sneed. So let's talk about what it means. I like the signing of bringing in L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, for a number of reasons. He knows Steve Spagnuolo's system. We know he's a willing tackler. We know he's a good football player, ... when he's on the field. The Chiefs got 4 years out of him and then leased him to the Tennessee Titans for a third-round pick. And then the lease expired, and now they get L'Jarius Sneed back.
It's the most New England Patriots move I've ever seen. This was what they did time after time after time. You get the best 4 years. You don't overpay, let another team overpay, or you get draft capital back in return. It doesn't work out somewhere else, and they come back on a very cheap deal and then find out they're still a good player. This is what New England did during their dynasty so often.
Yep.
I honestly was surprised this didn't happen early with like Travarius Ward. I thought Travarius Ward was going to come back here after San Fran.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that. So I'm not surprised at all that Sneed is back. Although I do like what you actually have in the show sheet right here.
Yeah, what do I have?
Because I think it's a very good point. You have, what does this mean? Is he a safety?
Yeah.
Is he a corner? And by the way, I've seen a lot of people on the X, and I disagree hard with this. They go, well, this means Christian Fulton's gone.
Yeah,
and I don't comprehend this, because you and I already had this conversation of they're going to keep 4 outside corners. One, you have a rookie in Mansour Delane, a second-year guy, Noah Williams. You bring back L'Jarius, who's been injured a ton. Christian Fulton's been injured a ton.
Yeah.
You're going to keep 4 outside guys unless Kyer Elam balls out.
Yeah.
I think Fulton's pretty darn safe.
Well, I mean, I saw a couple of reactions from that and replies to the tweet that I put out yesterday was, I can absolutely see L'Jarius Sneed making the roster. Look, if you cut L'Jarius Sneed, it wouldn't cost you much. Again, it's a league minimum deal, so 1 and change, and then the rest of it's going to be not likely to be earned incentives. And so if you move on from him, it'll cost you $1 million and change. They've done that before when it's a sunk cost and he's not part of the team, and if the injury is there, it's just cost of doing business often. But I've seen so when I put that tweet out of the signing by L'Jarius Sneed that I think he's going to be has a real good chance of making the team, and then I put as a safety, I mean, some of the reaction was, no, that means they're going to release Christian Fulton. You save $5 million against the cap by releasing Christian Fulton. And I understand that you save $5 million against the cap, but you're taking on an $8 million dead cap. So, yes, they have $13 million invested in Christian Fulton against the cap right now. Okay, not great, Bob, but you release him. That's a position you haven't filled, and it's $8 million right there. Yes, you save 5, but that position is already $8 million. So if Christian Fulton was your third cornerback, and you go, well, we're going to save $5 million by releasing him. Okay, well, your third cornerback is now worth $8 million before you put anybody else at your third cornerback. So if it's L'Jarius Sneed, okay, well, now you got, $9, $10 million in your third cornerback, as opposed to 14, and then having Christian Fulton, unless that $5 million is something that gets you, you know what, it's worth taking on the $8 million dead cap hit. It's a sunk cost, as we talk about.
Correct.
And that $5 million will go further by us signing somebody else. Yes, Cameron Jordan, Michael Jordan, Baby Jordan, whichever Jordan out there, the country Jordan, the $5 million, whatever it might be, to sign multiple players, who knows? When Juju gets cut by the Giants, to go and bring back Juju Smith-Schuster for a league minimum deal. Maybe they view it as this is the best possible, or this is the best usage of resources for the team. Okay, acknowledged. But to your point, you've got an often injured Christian Fulton and a guy who's played 12 games since he left Kansas City, L'Jarius Sneed. He's played 12 games.
Yeah.
Played 16 his last year with the Chiefs. He's played 12 games since with that knee. And now he's back in Kansas City. But what are you gonna say?
Means he's fresh.
Exactly. Absolutely. Not much tread on the tires. A lot of tread on that knee, but the overall tire's fresh. Absolutely.
Tires are great, but the axle is shaking.
Tires are great, but he's got no brakes.
Yeah.
The tires are going to keep you from slipping off the road when it's raining. It's just you can't stop once you get going.
Wild card, baby.
Wild card. I cut the brake line. So I think there's a decent chance that L'Jarius Sneed is on this team as the. Now I'm using the position as a specific, not how they view this player this year. Okay. As a Christian Roland Wallace, Shamari Connor.
Yes.
So not how the expectation is this year, but what we've seen in the last couple of years for those players. Those guys were kept as safeties.
Correct.
Yet they both played slot. We know what their job was. It was as a cornerback. Shamari Connor was playing slot. Christian Roland Wallace playing slot. Well, now Christian Roland Wallace is one of the main guys in the slot competition. Probably not going to be kept as a safety. Unless it's a safety, but it's also a slot like we've seen from Shamari Connor in the past. I could see L'Jarius Sneed filling that role of this guy can play safety, can play slot, because he played a ton of slot corner until they drafted Trent McDuffie and had Watson. And Trent McDuffie's first year, McDuffie played a lot of slot, and Sneed went from playing 684 snaps in the slot out of his 900 total snaps to then the next year playing 600 of 1,100, almost 50-50.
Yeah.
To his final year being 29 snaps in the slot to 1,100 out wide. His final year. He went from a slot corner to a predominantly wide corner.
And he was really good at both.
Yes, but we know he can play the slot.
Correct.
We know he can do that. We know that he played safety at Louisiana Tech. The Chiefs always keep 4 safeties. Who are the safeties on this team right now?
Gilman,
Hicks, Connor.
Yes, and then it depends how you view Kennedy or Christian Roland Wallace.
I think Kennedy's viewed as a slot because it seems like it's Kehoe, Cater Kohu, Kennedy, and Christian Roland Wallace. Those 3 guys battling for the slot. Now, maybe they keep Christian Roland Wallace as a safety.
Sure.
And then he's a slot, which allows them to keep another wide corner. Could be the case. Or that 4th safety is a L'Jarius Sneed, and they use him the way that we've seen other guys being used as the slot / safety, the Shamari Connor role, while your wide corners could be, they keep 5 or 6. So it's going to be Mansour Delane, Noel Williams, and then you've got Christian Fulton, Kyer Elam, Kevin Knowles, Cater Kohu, Jaden Kennedy, Christian Wallace. So those cornerbacks, they keep 5 or 6. If they keep 5, you've got Delane, Knoll, I think Kennedy. They really like Cater Kohu and CRW. So maybe a couple of those guys, 2 of the 3 there, that gives you 4. And if you only go 5, it could be Fulton or Elam. If you go 6, it could be Fulton and Elam, which then may allow you to put Snead at safety/slot, but list him as a defensive back that is part of the safeties that they keep 4 every year.
Yeah,
They keep 5 or 6 cornerbacks, depending on the year, but 4 safeties. It's just what they do.
I think to me, L'Jarius, that signing is not bad news for Christian Fulton. It's more bad news if you were Kyer Elam.
Kevin Knowles, maybe?
Kevin Knowles, maybe, but I also think Christian Roland Wallace or Cater Kohu. I do.
Because Kennedy is on the team.
I think Kennedy's on the team as a 4th rounder. I think he's on the team.
Yeah.
Cater Kohu with such a small contract that
It's a low risk, could be high reward because he was really good in the slot last time he was healthy.
And so I think for me, you're looking at a legitimate battle between Kohu, Kennedy, and Christian Roland Wallace. Well, I think Kennedy's going to be on the team no matter what because he's a draft pick this year. You have control.
Yep.
I don't see this being a Christian Fulton. And again, I feel like a lot of people on Twitter do, and you know what? Maybe they're all right and I'm wrong, but I don't see it playing out that way. I think you and I more are lockstep. I think L'Jarius at this point can play outside. I think they can use him outside, but I think he'll be more of a slot or safety at this point just because
just list him as
of
a
all the
defensive
injuries.
back.
Defensive back.
Yeah, defensive back. List him as a defensive back, and then he's one of the 9 or 10, depending on if you keep 5 or 6.
It doesn't really matter how you use these guys as long as you use them correctly. Again, to me, if you have Christian Roland Wallace, Cater Kohu, and Kennedy, I think there's so much overlap between some of those guys. Keeping all 3 seems overkill.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a year where they keep 6 cornerbacks. And they go with the 10, the 6 cornerbacks, the 4 safeties. The reason I think that is, going back the previous 4 years, see if you can see the pattern as to which year and why that year they kept 6. 2022, 6 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. 2023, 5 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. 2024, 6 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. Last year, 5 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. Now, I'm giving you that. You don't have the visual in front of you like I do.
I assume part of it was 22. They had a lot of young guys.
Young guys, turnover at the cornerback position, so they kept 6 of them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
2024, they traded L'Jarius Snead in the offseason. Turnover at the cornerback position, they kept more, throwing numbers at it.
And they have a lot of that this year.
Yes, that's my point. They've got tons of turnover at the cornerback position. The last 2 times they've had turnover at the cornerback position, they've kept numbers to give themselves more options rather than the set guys that they had in 23 and then 25. Guys like, these are our guys that we know, that we feel comfortable with going into the year. 23, you knew who your guys were. Because McDuffie was second year, Williams second year, Watson second year. You still had L'Jarius Snead 1 more year. You knew who your cornerbacks were. You felt good about it. You can keep 5 and keep an extra defensive lineman or linebacker. 24, you trade Snead. Williams and Watson had down years. Najee Johnson had the ACL tear. So what's he going to look like? You got McDuffie that you feel good about. Well, we need to keep extra guys just in case. They kept 6. Last year, Watson, Fulton, McDuffie, Knoll, they felt better about the guys that were filling in those roles. You only need 5. You keep an extra guy at defensive line or linebacker somewhere else. I think a linebacker or a defensive lineman gets cut or loses a job or is the sacrificial lamb, if you want to call it that, or odd man out. That's a better way. Odd man out for the cornerback turnover that I think they'll keep more numbers this year to throw more at it so they have more choices and options there, which is probably good news for Fulton, or could be good news for Kyer Elam, to where if they do move on from Fulton, that would be a vote of confidence in Kyer Elam.
Correct.
If they move on from Fulton, to me, that's Kyer Elam, not necessarily L'Jarius Snead for Christian Fulton.
Yeah, you and I are pretty lockstep, which is rare.
I know,
And
right?
it's-
This sucks.
Well, no, it's kind of nice for
Michael,
once.
disagree with us. Michael, tell us how we're dumb. Disagree with us, Michael. Sterling and I are agreeing. Just disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
I knew it. Dang it, Michael. He's so
You
dumb.
son of a...
You biscuit eater.
I think they should just sign
You
Cam Jordan.
lit liquor. They should sign Cam Jordan. Nice job. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More so next.
Goal! I can't do that long. I'm not that good. But the biggest stage in world soccer is days away, and every goal changes everything. Right now, FanDuel's giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. You bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. Yeah, baby. It's just that simple. You bet on a match and you get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. So, what you need to do is when you go to FanDuel, you turn on your token. Turn that token on, baby. And if there are goals scored in that match, for every single goal, you get bonus bets. Hey, baby, maybe you don't even like these two teams. Maybe you don't like these two countries. Doesn't matter. If you bet on them and you have that token on, every goal pays. It is just that simple. So make some ball plays and watch every single match, and every goal pays. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. Let there be goals on FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Must apply bonus token. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, wrapping up this hour. On the other side of the break, we will talk about the latest with Brendan Sorsby. We discussed yesterday about the ruling, okay? And our reaction to the ruling, which echoed a lot of the sentiments of, okay, so what's the next step, all of those things. We now know the fallout because without having some of the information or understanding that, fully acknowledging or understanding or realizing at the time of the wheels of justice that churn very slowly, that the temporary injunction essentially guarantees that he's going to play this year. We'll talk about that and the shock and awe of college football. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got Les Norman joining us at noon. We'll break the norm with Les Norman about the Kansas City Royals getting ready for a homestand, a 6-game homestand, 3 against the Rangers, 3 against the Astros. Tonight, Stephen Kolek taking on Nathan Eovaldi, 6:40. The Royals sitting 12 games under 500, 9 games out of first place, and 5.5 out of the wild card. That comes up at noon. 1 o'clock Chiefs press conferences, first day of mandatory minicamp today. Next 2 days, final days of that, we'll hear from Chiefs players today, Chiefs players tomorrow in the 1 o'clock hour, and then Andy Reid and select players on Thursday in the 11 o'clock hour. Let's talk about the big news that's going on in football, college football. We discussed this yesterday a little bit, but what has happened since yesterday's show and what took place the rest of the afternoon and last night, and all of the columns that were written, the podcasts that were done, the ADs that were interviewed, the presidents that were interviewed, the conference commissioners that were interviewed, and on down the line. Brendan Sorsby, as we said specifically for him, is a guy who is fighting against suffering the consequences of his own actions. He's ruled ineligible before the temporary injunction because of his own actions. Everything that happened after that seems to be, maybe there's an issue, but cosplay to create the court case, create the evidence in your favor, create the argument that you will present to the court as to why you are deserving of being eligible with a temporary injunction and a small 2-game suspension. The presidents, ADs, and commissioners are freaking shocked. I mean, just, they can't imagine how we got to this point. This is so unreal. It's so unbelievable we got here. We're all taken aback, and we're so upset about the consequences of our own actions. It's the same thing. Brendan Sorsby went to court to not suffer the consequences of his own actions. The ADs, presidents, coaches, commissioners are bitching about the ruling, which is the culmination of the consequences of their own actions. These schools, for how long, have fought the NCAA in the rulings because you don't feel like it fits the ruling against your specific team. The reason people want to disband the NCAA is because they feel like they're unnecessarily attacking my team. Holmes State U that I love.
Well, they did attack Mizzou.
As you say, Holmes State U that I love is being unfairly attacked where they don't do the same things against other schools, programs, so therefore we want to fight the NCAA. Even if you feel like that is absolutely true, the totality of the years in which that happened, North Carolina fighting, Missouri fighting, Louisville fighting, Oklahoma State fighting, Arizona fighting,
Kansas fighting,
all of the rules that we've seen in place by the NCAA that have stated A, B, and C would be the penalty structure if you break A, B, and C rule. But no, that shouldn't apply to me because I disagree with this aspect. Now, that school over there, they're cheating their ass off. We are doing it because we care about the kid. All right, it matters more about the kid. They're cheating. Texas Tech is doing this for football. They don't care about Brendan Sorsby. They're doing this for football, says Ole Miss, as they fought to get Trinidad Chambliss eligible. No, we're doing that for Chambliss. They shouldn't be doing that. Ole Miss is trying to go out of their way to circumvent the rules for them. Now, we did it for the kids, said Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia. They're doing it just for football. We're doing it because we care about the particular kid. And Alabama, they shouldn't do that, Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. That's ridiculous. We're caring about Bediako as we fight to get him eligible with the NCAA. This has been going on for years. The NCAA has made rulings, and schools have fought that with lawyers in court. Constantly. And it has grown to this level to where now, with the teeth that are lacking from the NCAA, and you know the teeth are lacking because these cases are being won in court over and over again.
They don't even have teeth. They have gums now.
Yes, exactly right. They've got dentures that aren't in right now.
The dentures are in the water glass
That's
on
right.
the side of the bed.
Yes, that's exactly right. And the NCAA is asleep at the wheel. They were asleep at the wheel for a long time in trying to head off at the pass what the future was going to be. They refused to see and read the tea leaves, read the room of where college athletics were heading, and they fought it every step of the way until now it's no guardrails, it's out of control, it's unsustainable. How can you go down this road? Like the disingenuous hypocrisy of some 80s and presidents about how we got to this point. It's unsustainable. We cannot pay these players this amount of money while paying coaches exorbitant amount of money and spending millions on fees for lawyers to fight for said players you don't think should be getting that money to be eligible for one more year so you can pay him that money. Like the whole thing is just hypocrisy wrapped in disingenuousness of this higher, more moral game that isn't professional sports. This is amateur athletics, while we have taken in millions and millions and millions of dollars. That this school, if they go to the NCAA tournament, somehow the athletic director gets a bonus of $100,000. But that's amateur athletics? Well, it is for the kids. The coach, if the players go, he gets bonuses. Right? So we've seen this for years. And what was not surprising, but also sort of brash, is Cody Campbell for Texas Tech, who is the big booster, who belongs to the same country club as the judge that ruled in favor of Brendan Sorsby in this particular case in a Lubbock County court.
Shocked.
Yes, totally shocked. Cody Campbell tells Pete Nakos on 3, "This unfortunate situation is the outcome of a broken system. I'm doing everything I can to fix it, but until there is a permanent solution, Texas Tech and its student athletes have to do the best they can to navigate and compete amid the chaos that exists in the reality of the world we live in." To put it a different way, if we create a scenario where a university is not making their kids go to school or take classes or be eligible academically, you can play, you don't have to go to class, it's not a big deal. Well, that's against the rules. Yeah, but we're fighting the system. Okay, no team should be allowed to do this and be eligible by not going to class. But until that's the rule, we're going to create all the fake classes for these players. But we hate it. We hate it. I'm fighting against it. I have this moral high ground that I'm trying to take, that I can't stand what's going on in college sports. But while it's going on, I'm going to take every advantage of it. I said that, I tweeted out, Taylor Swift wrote a song about Cody Campbell. Okay? Taylor Swift wrote, one of the greatest songwriters of our generation, Taylor Swift, wrote a song about Cody
Bob
Campbell.
Dylan
That's
of
right.
our generation.
That's right. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Narcissism disguised as altruism. The lyrics in the song. That's what this is. No, I'm taking an altruistic approach because I'm trying to fix college football. No, you're a narcissist that cares about your team winning, and your cosplaying is caring about the overall system, but you're doing everything you can to make sure the system stays this way, and now gets to the point to where everybody is just flabbergasted. I just cannot believe this is taking place. How in the world are these kids not allowed to go to school while we're going to make sure that they don't have to go to school? The Georgia president, Jer Moorhead, told Yahoo Sports, quote, "For anyone who has dismissed my previous calls for SEC rules of enforcement and the SEC institutions only playing each other, today's ruling is clear evidence why that may be the only path left for us." You're in a damn conference with Alabama! Ole Miss is in your conference! Vandy is in your conference! The hell are you talking about? The Texas Tech ruling means that you only play the teams in the SEC because somehow you guys are the moral high ground of college athletics? Alabama happened this last year. Diego Pavia for Vanderbilt. Like, what are we doing here? Like, people refuse to look in the mirror. The college presidents and athletic directors created this. The people that have been arguing about and presenting this as, well, you know what? Everybody out there that asks for NIL and these players to get paid, this is what you get. This is what you get. This is the result of the NIL. No, it's not. Brendan Sorsby having $90,000 to bet is the result of NIL, more than likely. This is the result of NCAA institutions fighting NCAA rules that the institutions agreed upon by being a part of the NCAA. But when the ruling affects their school, it's unfair. We're going to take you to court to fight that ruling. It has built and built and built and built to this level. You find the court in your backyard. We know Diaco was deemed eligible in a court in the backyard of Tuscaloosa. Trinidad Chambliss got a 6th year of eligibility. Robert Whitwell is the Chancery 18th District Court in Ole Miss, which covers, shocker, Oxford. Ruled Trinidad Chambliss gets a 6th year. Diego Pavia, Judge William Campbell, U.S. District Judge for the Middle District of Tennessee, ruled that Diego Pavia, after spending 2 years at JUCO and 3 years at Division I, should be granted a 6th year so he could play 4 years Division I, 2 years JUCO. The Middle District of Tennessee covers, you guessed it, Nashville. Why are we shocked that the court in Lubbock has ruled this way?
Oh, I'm not shocked.
Right, I know, but that's the point about like all of these ADs and presidents coming out and saying, I cannot believe this is the case. Were you saying that when Chambliss and Pavia got the extra year of eligibility? No, because there might have been a player that you could have had on your team that could have sued for the extra year of eligibility. So we're not going to say, hell no, we're not playing Vandy. Not with Diego Pavia. He doesn't deserve a 6th year. Okay, it's not the same as the integrity of the sport by betting on your own team, right? Whatever. We're not going to make sure we never play Ole Miss because Trinidad Chambliss shouldn't have a 6th year of eligibility. No, in fact, Georgia's AD is saying we should only play, or Georgia's president is saying we should only play these teams. That 3 of the 4 rulings that we've seen taken to district court have been SEC teams winning in their backyard. And maybe the most egregious one to me is from Yahoo Sports again. Tom Mars tells Yahoo Sports, "At first I thought it was a joke." Said the man who has continually fought for institutions and suing the NCAA for rulings in a player's favor that impacts a school in which the NCAA rules said that player shouldn't be eligible, but those schools didn't like it. So Tom Mars, who is best known as one of the attorneys that fights against NCAA rules, said, "At first I thought this was a joke." Dude, this has been what you are known for in NCAA circles, is this exact thing. Now you want to draw a line in the sand and say, no, but because 10 years ago, Sterling, what would they have said 10 years ago if you go, hey, Diego Pavia's got 6th year of eligibility, 2 years at JUCO, and he gets 4 years in NCAA? At first, I thought that was a joke. Yeah, 10 years ago. But now Tom Mars is fighting for that. This, at first, I thought it was a joke. I can't believe this is happening. You created it. You built it to this level.
You just helped Trinidad Chambliss.
Right.
He was on that
Yes.
injunction.
Yes, he fought for Trinidad Chambliss.
I think for me, there is a difference between Pavia,
I agree.
Chambliss, and this.
I agree.
I do think there's a pretty large difference. But the point still remains, where do the teams, the universities, go from here? Because the NCAA looks like nowhere. Nowhere. You can't go. If you can't get this, you no longer have any leg to stand on, and you are just a name only. You have no power.
Yeah, and being ignorant to how the system works in terms of temporary injunctions, that with the court case set for February 8th, shocker,
After the
that
season.
it's going to be a real long shot, a low percentage chance of there being any ruling before the football season ends.
And so where do you go from here? Well, you have two options. You do nothing if you're the other schools, and you say, all right, that school did it, so now I'm going to do it. And that's the way it looks like most schools are going. It sure looks like most schools are taking the route of, well, bleep it. If they're doing it, I'm going to do it.
Jerome Tang said, I'd like to piss some people
Which,
off by
by the
finding
way,
a player that we can deem eligible in our own backyard.
I don't always fault the head coaches for doing that because you're trying to compete. And if it works, you get an extension, you get extra money. And if you lose to those teams, what happens? Doesn't matter that they had Bediako or that they had Chambliss or they had that. You get fired. Doesn't matter. You should have still won. That's what the fan base is going to say. The other option is what it looks like some folks and ADs in the Big 12 have said. Do they try to elect not to play Texas Tech this season? Which, to an extent, I do agree with. That's the only way this is going to stop is if you say, hey, you do this, we're done. We've all agreed, we're not playing you. Unfair. But where's the line?
Yeah,
Where's the line? What
right.
is Chambliss the extra 6-year line? Is Bediako
SEC
the
teams,
right?
Missouri, we're not playing Alabama with Bediako out there on the floor.
Correct. And so where's the line? And then what eventually will happen is, okay, well, we don't want to play this team because they have this guy who's really good, but we're going to try and find a reason why we don't want to play Alabama this year because we think it's unfair.
Yeah.
There's going to be this slippery slope, and while I do think that this is on the more egregious side of things that we will see,
I agree.
and maybe I'm wrong and naive here, I do think betting on your team as a player, the same thing that Pete Rose did as a manager that got him banned from the Hall of Fame.
Rick Neuheisel entered an NCAA bracket contest and was fired because the NCAA then put sanctions on him in a sport that he didn't coach. He's a football coach and entered an NCAA bracket competition and got fired. Iowa wrestler put a $15 bet down and was ruled permanently ineligible.
And so I do think this...
Which is dumb because he should have just used a lawyer in his own backyard to go and give him a temporary injunction until his entire career was over.
Hopefully this will be the more egregious example of this. And if you do elect to say, hey, we're not playing you this year, that's the end of it. And there is no slope. It's just, we're on steady pavement. I don't believe that to be the case.
But the slippery slope was Pavia and Chambliss and Bediako. Like, people are looking
so then
at
what's
this
the line? So then what's going to the line? But you would have to have, again, the NCAA has no teeth. Again, the dentures are on the side of the bed. They're done. You have no teeth. You're gumming it. You would have to have, let's say, the Big 12. You would have to, as a majority.
Brett Yormark would have to come out with an unprecedented strategy and tact to take that we're not playing. Texas Tech will, no teams in the Big 12 are going to play Texas Tech. And if that's the case, is it a forfeit every game? Is Texas Tech now 12-0?
That kills.
In which Sorsby plays?
That now kills TV deals, kills ad revenue. It kills
less inventory. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's no way of this coming out smooth. I mean, it's easy to say, well, just don't play them. All the tickets, all the ad revenue, all the TVs, all the deals that you have.
You can offer the threat and say, Texas Tech, if you do this, we will not have teams show up and you will not be able to sell tickets. You won't be able to, we'll sanction you the ad revenue. Now, you can maybe sue us, but you're going to spend millions of dollars to try to sue us while we withhold the the network tens of millions of dollars that would be sent to you after every year in what these TV network deals are, we're going to withhold that if Brendan Sorsby plays. Kirby Hocutt at Texas Tech, the AD, put out the statement yesterday, said, as we have said before, we do not believe that the circumstances of Brendan Sorsby's case warranted permanent ineligibility. As he returns to our football program, we remain committed to supporting Brendan's recovery and ensuring his compliance with the court's order. A comprehensive support structure, including clinical care, monitoring, and compliance checks, will remain fully in place for the duration of Brendan's time as a student at Texas Tech. I would just ask Kirby Hocutt, what circumstances do rise to the level of permanent ineligibility? If 40 bets that you place on your own team that you're playing for, $90,000 in bets, doesn't rise to the level of permanent ineligibility, is it 50? Is it 60? Is it 70? Do we create the scenario to where if you place a bet, if you're a player, don't just place one or two bets, place lots of bets so we can show that you have a problem, and therefore you can be deemed eligible? Because if you place one bet, you don't have a problem, but you are going to be ineligible. If you place lots of bets, you have a problem, and you'll serve a 2-game suspension with a temporary injunction that we'll find in our own backyard. And the question would be, and Brett Yormark said, the ramifications of today's ruling are significant, could have broad impacts across college athletics, creating great concern amongst our membership. I've been consulting with our key stakeholders and have scheduled meetings with our conference ADs and executive board this week. We are also in touch with Charlie Baker and anticipate the NCAA to appeal the order in the next 24 to 48 hours. We will continue to monitor and evaluate the situation. Yes, they're going to appeal the order. There's no doubt about it. But as one particular lawyer / judge, whatever it is, in Texas that said the temporary injunction obtained by Sorsby is valid through the date of the trial. So by setting the trial date after college football season, Lubbock County State District Court effectively awards Sorsby ultimate relief. He can play the full season under the TI, temporary injunction, excluding only the first 2 games carved out with the TI order. In Texas, a temporary injunction is subject to immediate appeal. The appeal will go to the 7th Court of Appeals in Amarillo, Texas. The problem with the appeals is that even an accelerated appeal of the temporary injunction order is likely to take at least 9 to 12 months.
Did you also know that each of the 4 judges in the 7th District, all graduates of Texas Tech School of Law?
What are the odds of that?
Shocked.
What are the odds of that? He writes here, the only way the interlocutory, which is the subject to the immediate appeal, of the TI order gets resolved before the college football season ends is if the Amarillo Court of Appeals orders expedited briefings and decides the appeal on the papers without oral argument. But even such an expedited appeal is likely to run well into the college football season. So, and that's where we look at the wheels of justice that churn very slowly, as opposed to yesterday when it was like, they're going to appeal, and I don't know that he's going to play. What it would come down to is all of the people in college football and say, where does it end? It ends with you not being the school that sues to keep a player eligible that's deemed permanently eligible if he breaks the ultimate rule.
The issue is some other school would have gone after Sorsby. We're not naive here. Some other school would have gone after Sorsby and fought it. I mean, we know how this plays out. And so, to an extent, I understand why. I hate it. But you can have that small amount of I understand why. Because it's like, okay, well, someone else is going to do it.
Yeah.
So why not us? Eventually, there has to be the governing body, which is what the NCAA was supposed to be. But no one cares. No one listens because they push back for so long. Eventually, it does come down to your conference. You'll have to try and figure it and navigate that out. But again, I do think you run that slope of, all right, well, then what's the line? You had your star quarterback bet one time 5 years ago. We're going to dig that up and say we're not playing you because we think he's ineligible.
But also, like, the NCAA is it's a 4-letter shield. It's not a specific meat shield to put in front of somebody like Alex Zumwalt would be for Matt Quattrero if they were to fire Alex Zumwalt. That would be the meat shield of, is that going to solve all the problems? No, but give them something. Give the people something. Let them eat cake. Give them something here. It's Alex Zumwalt. There's a meat shield in front of Matt Quattrero. The NCAA is a 4-letter shield to then everybody direct their complaints, their frustrations at. But the NCAA is a member institution. It's the institutions that have agreed to be members of the NCAA and agree to the bylaws. So if you disband the NCAA, if the SEC says we're going to create our own league, there's going to be a governing body that they create. It may not be called the NCAA, but that governing body will be created. And you know what they will have? Bylaws that say certain rules must be followed. And if not, here are the consequences of that. It won't be NCAA, but a rose by any other name is still a rose. You can call it what you want. It will be the same thing, a governing body with a set of bylaws and rules and infractions that go along with breaking said rules. But schools inside that a member institution of that particular group can still fight it in a court of law, even though they agreed to it. The difference between this with the antitrust and what we've seen in the NFL, Tom Brady fought the suspension with Roger Goodell in court. Tom Brady's court case was not about whether or not he deflated footballs. It was not about the ideal gas law. What Tom Brady's court case was about is if Roger Goodell had the power to suspend Tom Brady. Brady had no chance in court. It was all a show. Because the court was going to say, are you a player in the NFL? Yes. Are you a member of the NFL Players Association? Yes. Do you, as a member, grant the NFLPA permission to collectively bargain on your behalf? Yes. In the CBA, does it say Roger Goodell has the power to suspend you this amount of games? Yes. Then get the hell out of court. Go away. I don't care if you deflated the footballs or not. This case is about whether or not Roger Goodell has the power to do that. And the NCAA and the court cases are whether or not the NCAA has the power to enforce these particular rules. And the individual states are saying, no, they don't have the power to do this because it will permanently hurt this particular player. Yeah, that's what the discipline is. That's what the money's for, as they would say in Mad Men. You know what? Rashee Rice shouldn't go to jail. You know why? Because it could permanently, he's going to get fined by the Chiefs by not being at mandatory minicamp. His rehab might be impacted. That could permanently impact Rashee Rice moving forward. You shouldn't put him in jail. You know, this person that robbed that bank, they're going to get fired from their regular job if you put them in jail. That's going to permanently and irreparably damage them moving forward. No bleep, you dumbass. That's what the penalty's for. Don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time.
If I don't drink 9 beers, rip 3 shots of Rumplements, and go golf right now, I will be irreparably damaged.
100%. Hey, son, guess what? You cheated on your test. You can't drive the car for the next month. But, Dad, that's going to irreparably harm me from hanging out with my friends. Yes, that's the penalty.
It's kind of the whole point.
That's so... according to this, honestly, like, think about it. According to this judge can't send anybody to jail.
No.
Because that particular penalty would irreparably damage him.
If he sent me to jail and I was in jail right now because of this judge, which, I mean, I wouldn't because I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. I don't do those
Everybody
things.
knows this.
I'd
Not a rule has been broken.
I'd fight that ass. I would write a nice, strongly worded letter to said judge.
I'd fight the ruling. You fight the ass. I'd fight the ruling. Those are different ways to go about it.
Both. Oh, well, if I fought him, it would say, hey, if I don't fight you, I'd be irreparably damaged by you right now. If I can't fight you.
But it's so amazing, like, that's the argument, that he's going to be hurt if he suffers the consequences of his own actions. Said every person ever that has been deemed ineligible or suspended or gone to jail, because that's the reason for the discipline. If you aren't harmed or damaged in any way, then you would have no repercussions of breaking the law or going outside of bylaws. Like, it's one of the dumbest arguments we've seen. And you've got Cody Campbell that, as I've said, is the anti-hero. Cody Campbell's going to stare into the sun but never in the mirror. You're the problem. You're the problem, dude. You're a narcissist disguising yourself as an altruist. That's all it is. And this is working in your favor So you can play it as, hey, I'm trying to get this thing changed, but until that happens, I'm going to do everything I can to take advantage of all of the issues that are there because it helps Texas Tech. Now, Gene Taylor had this to say to Yahoo, and he wasn't pulling any punches. Gene Taylor said, we've had some serious conversations about it. There is still a lot to be discussed. We aren't scheduled to play them this year, but it's something we have to look at from a college football perspective. This is greater than the Big 12. It's effing BS. Only he said the full words. Gene Taylor said. I mean, Gene Taylor saying that is more surprising than Brendan Sorsby being deemed eligible, quite frankly, to me. I know the kid has a problem. Well, get well and focus on your problem. It is absolutely devastating for him to be able to play when every other sport, no matter the level, deems an athlete ineligible or they are punished severely for betting on their team, end quote. Now, what I said, Sterling, is what is the fallout, or is there some sort of strategy to make sure this doesn't happen in the future with anybody else? Now, maybe it's Brett Yormark, maybe it's some of the other conference commissioners coming together and saying we're going to boycott Texas Tech. Maybe that's the case. But ultimately it has to come down to the individuals. Maybe I am naive, but I do believe if change the name K-State quarterback, again, call me naive here, and people know where my rooting interests lie. Sure. So this isn't a bias, but call me naive here. I don't believe Gene Taylor would take this thing to court to fight for that player's eligibility if they bet on games.
I don't know, man. I think Missouri would. I think Kansas would. I think K-State
I
probably
think
would.
Everybody would fight for their guys.
Yeah, I think you are being
But again, call me naive. But I think
naive.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think Gene Taylor would be the one to do that. The guy cried about what's going on with the system as to why Chris Kleiman is not a coach.
Okay.
So it would be
Gene Taylor might be one of the few.
It would be like the ultimate public hypocrisy for Gene Taylor to fight and say, hey, you know what, too bad, we don't think this. So do I believe Gene Taylor would be on the side of he was deemed ineligible, he bet on football, he bet on games? That's too bad. We have to move forward. This is the ruling. But do I also believe 85% or more of the other ADs would absolutely take the tact of Texas Tech? Yeah, I do. But that's where it comes down to.
They won't say it publicly, obviously, but when they have the opportunity, would they?
Alabama, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt have already said we're willing to go a certain number of steps. We won't go that far. Well, yeah, because you haven't been put in that position. Your NCAA playoff / national championship hopes are not resting on the eligibility of one particular player the way that Texas Tech's are. But your potential playoff hopes, Vanderbilt, were resting on Diego Pavia being eligible. So you fought. And in Nashville, the district judge in Nashville granted Pavia a temporary injunction until February of 2026 so he could play football that year. Oh, he's no longer eligible. He's out of eligibility, played his 6th year. We can drop the case. We don't need to sue anymore. So you've already gone down the route of the temporary injunction. So who's to say if Pavia would have placed bets that Vanderbilt wouldn't have been fighting against it? I don't believe that. They've already gone down the route of saying, oh, you ruled this guy ineligible. These are the specific rules that we've always followed. I disagree. We're going to find a judge in our backyard, give a temporary injunction, and now he's going to play. You can't do anything about it. That's what this has been created. It's gone to this level, and the ADs and the presidents can't really complain because they built the building, and now they're pissed that people are working inside the building. Well, it's your own fault. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Continue rolling along, heading up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at noon, we will hear from Les Norman. We'll talk with him. We'll break the norm, talk a little Royals baseball with Les. In the 1 o'clock hour, the Chiefs finishing up first day of mandatory minicamp, first of the 3 days. We'll hear from Harrison Butker, Josh Simmons, and Noel Williams today at the podium. There will be select players tomorrow at the podium in the 1 o'clock hour, and then Andy Reid and select players at 11 o'clock or in the 11 o'clock hour on Thursday. Just want to respond to, I responded on Twitter, but I'll respond here as well. A tweet that came in that said, did J810 Anderson on the X just compare granting an extra year of eligibility to Pavia to Sorsby? He gambled his own sport and team, not even close to the same argument. Holy cow. This is where listening comes in. Because we both said it's not the same. But here's the point.
But I said it louder.
That's the point. It's the culmination. It's the continuation of what has happened. Murder and armed robbery are not the same. They aren't. But if you break the rules in school and get away with it, and break the rules as a professional and get away with it, and start to steal cars and get away with it, and then advance to armed robbery and get away with it, then murder happens. Is murder and armed robbery the same? No, but you see where it's heading. This isn't that hard if you actually put on your thinking caps. You see where it's heading. It's heading in the direction of this. This is not a surprise that it's gotten to this level. When it's been looked at and laughed at and, well, no, it's my guy. I'm going to defend this person in court because this is why he shouldn't have to face penalties for this particular crime. And he shouldn't have to face penalties for this particular crime. And it gets progressively worse and worse until it rises to a level of, well, dude, I mean, come on. Doing that as a 20-year-old is not the same as murder. No, but look at the things in the middle as it's progressing there. Sorsby and Pavia are not the same, but they are the continuation of my guy at Home State U in my backyard, no matter what he did wrong, would be hurt, and we are doing this for the greater good of the player, not just to win games. That's the way we are going to present this. The greater good of Pavia and Chambliss and Diaco, or Bediaco, were to play games. Not the same as betting on your own team, which I've already said yesterday. You can go back and listen to that. I don't have to rehash what we talked about yesterday about him being permanently eligible and all of the reasons why he should not play and the reasons why this is a dangerous precedent. The point today is the ADs, presidents, and commissioners coming out and being so flabbergasted by this ruling for a judge in the backyard of this school ruling in favor of Home State U of that school. Yeah, but you know what? He didn't go there. Okay. Well, he doesn't practice law there. Okay. Is he close with Cody Campbell?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to Mizzou.
Not a true son.
That's what they say. Believe me, I've heard that before. And you know what? I'd be pissed if Mizzou did this. I'd be pissed if any of the local schools did this. But you know what some Mizzou fans would be doing? They would be rationalizing this.
Oh!
Just as Texas Tech fans are. Every
Yes!
single fan base would be doing that. And I'd be pissed. I'd be annoyed if Kansas or Kansas State or Mizzou or any other team did this. But I wouldn't be surprised and clutching the pearls on I cannot believe it's come to this. Because I can. I can believe it's come to this. This was the playing field. Like the NCAA or the schools agreed to the playing field. And the schools have started to color outside of the lines. And now they're bitching about Texas Tech coloring farther outside the lines. Well, no, they're really out. Yeah, but you guys
They're
are
on the damn table, man. You're at
Agreed.
you're at a nice restaurant.
Agreed.
And
It's a leap, but it's the point of you're coloring outside the lines. You're just pissed off about how far somebody is coloring outside the lines.
you have to find out, okay, they're out to the lines. They're on the paper instead of, okay, we're at a nice Italian restaurant and your 6-year-old is out here with a red crown throwing it down on the white tablecloth. Texas Tech, to me, is the 6-year-old with the red crown rubbing all over the white tablecloth. Okay? That ain't coming out of the washer.
Maybe it depends on what you use. There's some really cool things, really cool products now.
I just toss it away if it gets dirty. I
Just buy a new one. You just buy a new Sorsby. Just go out and buy a new Sorsby.
buy a new Sorsby.
Go buy a new Sorsby, man. Yes. I mean, he shouldn't be playing. Nobody disagrees with that. Nobody does.
It's just
I
where
shouldn't
do
say
you-
nobody disagrees. Sorry. Texas Tech disagrees with that. And those almost everybody agrees that he shouldn't be playing.
It's where do you go from here? And the answer is
Yeah.
I don't really think there's a answer. I don't think there, because the NCAA clearly has shown they're done. It's done. And unless we see the rest of the Big 12 come down and say, we're not playing Tech, I don't know where you do. Because if you play Tech, then what's the real repercussion? What stops anyone else from doing this?
Yeah.
There's no, and again, if you are the third string defensive tackle, some schools say, hey, you're done. You know why? Because it makes us look good. We get brownie points.
But you would have to have schools not sue, and you would have to have that judge not rule in the favor of it.
Correct.
So
but
they're-
I think if you're a third string or fifth string defensive tackle,
yeah.
the school will say, look, we're not them. We didn't do that. We
No
made
worries.
sure that we have integrity here.
No
but
worries
you're
whatsoever.
the star?
Yeah.
You're the star guy?
Yeah. Because this ruling, any college athlete out there should know, this ruling does not relate to you.
You think if Cooper Flagg would have done that at Duke, you think that,
I think they would have had a temporary injunction.
and I think he would have played.
Yeah. Sorsby would have placed a decent amount of money on the
I'm
temporary
not trying to say he
injunction.
would have done that. I'm just naming star players at schools. Like, if Zion would have done this, you
Oh,
think.
You're going to Duke again.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything specific. I'm just naming specific Duke players.
Okay, if Kyrie Irving would have.
I'm saying if Boozer, any of the Boozers,
Okay, if
all
Christian,
three of the Boozers,
if Christian Leitner would have
Good
done
point.
this.
That's
yeah.
Grant Hill. We're just looking at all different types of schools.
all different
not
types.
one specific one. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'm
You're just for
Just randomly.
randomly picking players that happen to pop into my mind first. I don't know. No connection whatsoever. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, wrap up this hour. We'll talk with Les Norman. We'll talk some Royals baseball. Hot, 5-2. Get ready for a 6-game homestand, a trip then to Washington, and then return home for a 3-game set against the St. Louis Cardinals. So we'll talk with Les Norman about that, what he's seeing. Vinny Pasquantino. A broken fingernail. Ouch. For Salvi. Just the severe bruised thumb. It's pretty severe when your fingernail breaks.
You hear broken nail and you make fun of it until you actually have one. You're like, wow, this
because it wasn't the end of the nail that broke.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing being broken. Try to grip something if your nail gets ripped off. I mean, doesn't seem very easy to do.
No, thank you.
No, thank you to you too. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. An hour from now, we'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be Noah Williams, Josh Simmons, and Harrison Butker at the podium. Right now, we hear from Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Big bank protection with Community Bank Connection. Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, joining us here. Les, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well, fellas. What's going on? I've been on a little bit of a drive, listening to the last hour. Good stuff as always.
Okay, very good, very good. I apologize in advance for that. But you know what? Let's have a fun conversation, because it can be a fun conversation with the Royals wrapping up the road trip the way that they did. June has been quite the turnaround so far, with them turning the calendar and turning over how they've been playing the games. 5-2 stretch does not a hot stretch make in Major League Baseball, but is this a tease that we've seen before this year, that maybe, we'll see the Royals go back to losing some of these close games? Or is this maybe baseball water finding its level? Some of the games they had been losing playing this way are now turning out to be wins.
I'm going to take the Janet Jackson theory and focus on what you've done for me lately. I'll take a 5-2 and call that a hot streak after coming off of like a 2-8, a 2-10 streak or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, they all have to start somewhere. And when you're struggling, if you have to look at, okay, let's look at June 1st. It's a fresh start. I mean, when you're losing and you're not playing even close to up to what you should be, you're looking for any benchmark. You're looking for anything that you can put put a flag in the ground and say, okay, that's the day, that's the game, that's the series, whatever it may be. And, if you got to trick yourself, you do what you got to do. But so far in that stretch, that 5-2 stretch, it's been a lot better baseball.
Yeah, and now they get ready to come home. They got the day off. Much better feeling after starting off the road trip the way that they did, taking 2 of 3 from Cincinnati, could have swept, and then taking 3 of 4 from Minnesota, and feeling pretty good from that stretch. And now you get this quick little 6-game homestand, a very brief road trip of 3 games before returning home against the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a pretty big stretch. They got swept by the Texas Rangers. In baseball, like in different sports. So in football, you can say, you know what, there's revenge on the mind. So we spend the week preparing with that extra fine-tuned detail on what the game plan is, and we go out there with a little more aggression, and we're involved in every single play, and we're tackling, and we're hitting, and we're blocking, and we're way more focused than we typically were, or we were the last time we saw this team. There's revenge on the mind. Basketball, all right, I can push a guy around, I can play more physical, I can follow the game plan a little bit. Like, there's some certain things I think physically maybe that other sports can exact revenge. Can you have baseball where you go, they just swept us, it's time to get our revenge against this particular team, or does it not work that way in baseball?
I mean, it does, but I think that when you're playing well, you can plot revenge when you lose to a team you should beat, and when you're not playing well, you can get revenge. Those are 2 different things. I mean, confidence will give you the plot for revenge when you just didn't play well or whatever it may be, and you're so many games below 500, you're just like, well, let's try to get revenge here, but you got to be a little bit careful on how you approach it. But yeah, I mean, like in anything, especially when you play teams in your division so many times, you get to play the Rangers again. Mm-hmm. You can definitely have that. Whatever you need to get yourself ready to play and keep yourself focused. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But, I mean, you can trick your mind into that. You're trying to win every game regardless of what your past record is against somebody else. So let's just call that what it is. I mean, tonight's just this game against this team on this date. But if your memory gets you motivated, then, hey, so be it.
And I guess in baseball, we talk about, the week leading up. A lot of people talk about football being won Monday through Saturday. And then you go out there Sunday and you perform with all the preparation you've put in and in the game plan. Where, baseball, it's such a daily game that, you don't have, like, 7 o'clock game is not won because of a noon to 2 batting practice. Not typically, not by one particular person, right? Maybe slumps can be broken by that or whatever. But I do wonder, Les, so they lose to the Rangers, they get swept, they had opportunity to win a couple of those games, but they return home now and they get ready for this team. As I talk about, like, football leading up to it and that fine-tuned a game plan and film study and everything, and not every week can you bring that same level of attention to detail. You're human. There are days when you're going to have a great day. There are days when you're not going to have such a great day. But maybe some of those weeks that it's a bigger game of revenge, you're more focused that particular week. Can it be to where, all right, the Rangers just swept us. We're playing better. Let's go show that we're not that team. Could it be a more focused at bat for every player, which can result in, a higher pitch count for the other pitcher, laying off some close pitches, fouling off some pitches that are pitchers' pitches, putting the ball in play, being smarter on the base paths, if every pitch, every at bat, every inning, whereas in the middle of 162, somebody's probably going to have an at-bat where they just aren't fully locked in and, that guy got me, but I wish I could do it again, but I just didn't have it that particular at-bat or that day.
Yeah, Cal Ripken said it's hard to focus even in one game for 4 consecutive and sometimes once in a while 5 every single at-bat. I mean, you might be able to get in 3, usually 2 if you're an everyday player, but that's tough to do. It's just a matter of going back and looking at the last series with these guys and saying, okay, how did they beat us collectively? Mm-hmm. What did I do? How was my swing that day? The better players, like the elite players, like a Bobby Witt Jr. type of player, if they made an error in a game that maybe cost a run, or a pitcher that didn't locate a pitch, or maybe he called off the catcher and threw this pitch and it didn't work, you go back and you look at video and you look at your approach and was I concentrating? Was my mind not there? Something like that. And you tap into it. It's an odd combination that you have to have the focus on what you did wrong and correct mistakes, but then you also have to be able to live in the moment either, because you can't carry past at-bats up to you. You just have to use them to have a new game plan to focus on what's now. So, man, this game is so mental. It's so weird and odd and frustrating and awesome all at the same time. So, it's just trying to take the past and using it to be really good in the present. Sometimes that works, but again, it does all depend on what you're coming off of. And when you're playing good baseball, you can turn anything, any negative, you can turn into a positive because you're riding that confidence.
Where's the advantage when you see a particular pitcher a second time within a couple of weeks? Because not today, they didn't face Eovaldi last go-around when they had that 3-game set in Texas when they got swept. But tomorrow and Thursday, the matchups are against Mackenzie Gore and Kumar Rocker. Those guys combined for 12 1/3 innings, giving up only 7 hits, no earned runs, and 4. So 12 1/3 innings and 11 base runners they gave up in those 2 games as starters. Is the advantage to the pitcher the second go-around, or is the advantage to the hitter the second go-around, do you think?
I feel like it's the hitter. And good pitchers will maybe change a little bit against the better players because they know what they're thinking, and players know, pitchers and hitters alike know that you're studying what happened last time. I mean, you're looking at certain tendencies, and so if I'm a pitcher going into it, I'm not necessarily looking at, okay, the last time I faced this hitter, he swung at this, this, and this, and so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. That would be unwise. So, you have to respect that they also understand the game as well. The better scouting report is going to be watching them take batting practice, or watching their first at bat, or some of the swings that they're taking. And the really good students of the game that are pitchers, and especially the catchers, can see if a guy's bat plane isn't level, or if he normally goes the other way, but he's got a swing where he's pulling off, he's opening up, he's pushing forward just a little bit. So there's so many little intricacies that go into it. It's such a chess match all the time, too. You use those advantages of what you did last time against this guy, but then you got to be smart and play that chess game and change that up just a little bit. Some guys you stay with, and they're just not going to figure you out. And some guys you stay with, that's a big mistake because they're really good at adjusting. I remember we talked about earlier in the year how Bobby Witt Jr. got off to a slow start because he was swinging at a lot of high fastballs out of the zone, and you saw pitchers over and over going there, and they were successful because for some reason he just couldn't lay off. He saw too much of those pitches. But then as soon as he started taking that pitch or hammering it, league-wise, pitchers that would face him changed and stopped throwing that and then went to something soft away or hard in the dirt. And so it's that advanced scouting, and it's that adjustment, the chess match back and forth. So you take little advantages, but it's not always one set because every player is different depending on the day.
Yeah, and I don't know if age, experience matters a whole lot. I mean, Mackenzie Gore has played in the league for 4 years. He's 27 years old now. I mean, Kumar Rocker, this is his third year. He's only had 29 games in his career, though. Rocker, I bring that up because those guys again will be seeing the Royals a second time. Whereas the way that the rotation falls, Les, all three of those pitchers for the Royals in the Ranger series will be the same three pitchers this series with Kolek, Lugo, and Waka. And all they did was go out there and give up a combined 15 runs with the starters there. 4 of those were unearned in the series, but Kolek didn't perform well. Lugo gave up 3 runs, only one of them was earned, and then Waka had one of his worst starts with 6 innings and 6 earned runs. Is it maybe not, being an example for Kolek tonight, but maybe a Lugo or a Waka being the veteran guys, the second go around against this team, they change a little bit of their approach and the repertoire and how they pitched and the pitch sequencing against certain batters where, I don't know, maybe Gore and Rocker without as much experience may not be able to go that route on Wednesday, Thursday?
Well, I think sometimes it is that experience or lack thereof, but also if you go back and look, do you think Michael Waka and Seth Lugo give up a lot of runs? They're such veterans and all-star caliber pitchers. Do you think if they're not throwing the ball over the middle of the plate, they're going to give up that many runs? There's no way, because their stuff is too good. And so if you go back, sometimes it's not that they threw the incorrect pitch and the incorrect counter, they just had an off day. They just got hit because they were throwing the ball over the middle of the plate. I know they're big league hitters, but look, if you're painting the corners and your stuff, good movement, you're down in the zone, and you're baffling guys because you're able to throw strikes and still get outs. The best hitters are still successful only 3 out of 10 times, and obviously that increases when you're over the heart of the plate. And so I'll take a Michael Waka, I'll take a Seth Lugo, and I'll even take a Stephen Kolek this season if they're able to pitch to contact and hit the corners a lot more. And so, okay, yes, experience. Absolutely. Always experience is going to win out, but you can have great experience and be to 10 All-Star games. If you're throwing over the middle of the plate, unless your last name's Mizorowski, you're probably going to get hit.
That's a good point. Yes. He can throw over the plate. He can look at his manager as a young guy and go, "No, stay in there. I'm not coming out," and then strike the next 2 guys out.
Right.
That was pretty impressive. Local kid. Always root for them, even though he's a Brewer. Be rooting for him, and his stuff is just absolutely nasty. Visiting with the Les Norman. It's a good point about, if your stuff works, the previous go-around, you might have missed some spots, left some stuff over the plate, and didn't really have it, whereas next go-around, I feel better, I feel different, I've got it, and now it's like, man, how did he give up 6 runs against this same lineup and then goes out there and goes 7 innings and gives up no runs? Well, it's just baseball, or the previous go-around, he didn't have it. And this go-around, he did feel good about his stuff and placement and his command, control, and maybe the feel of different pitches. Les Norman is our guest. Wanted to get your thoughts on Vinny Pasquantino, who has turned things around for him this year. The numbers aren't, the overall numbers aren't up to where you would look at the back of the baseball card for Vinny Pasquantino. But as we look in these increments of games, so if we go back to his previous 46 games, he's OPSing at 755. If we cut that down to 39 games, he's OPSing at 776. If we look at just his last 16 games, he's OPSing at 812. So the more the games pass, the higher the OPS is becoming. What are you seeing from Vinny Pasquantino Is he finally out of his head and he's just going out and playing baseball? Anything different to what he's doing? I know the other night took a couple of pitches to left field or left center. So is there something you're seeing from Benny as to why this has been an extended stretch now, 46 games where he's OPSing close to, over 750?
Yeah, I feel like he's not trying to yank the ball. I think that what you explained based on the games and the numbers going up, I think you call that a trend, right?
I
it's
think
trending
so.
in the right direction. So with that, so why is he trending in that direction? I feel like I'm seeing less violent swings, fewer violent swings at the plate. He's using the field a lot more. I think when he was really struggling, when he did go the other way, it was either because he tried to pull it and couldn't. And so when you see a pitch that you should pull and your bat is slow or you're not recognizing it too much, then all of a sudden you start trying to get a little bit tighter, and then it becomes pull, pull, pull. And then when you do hit the ball the opposite field, you can't drive the ball. You're just lifting it and just laying it out there. And so now I think his body looks to me, as I watch his swing, it looks like he's trying to hit the ball hard. It looks like he's going with pitches, and he's swinging at a lot more pitches that he can drive. It's pitch selection. That comes with confidence. I don't care what you know intellectually. If you're not seeing the ball well or you're really struggling, you're probably going to swing at a lot more pitches in the dirt, out of the zone, because you want the slump to end badly and you're trying to come through badly. And again, this is the big leagues. Pitchers aren't going to throw you somewhere just because you're struggling. They're not going to say, I can get away with the pitch right down the middle. No, that's how you awaken a sleeping giant. And so they're going to throw pitches out of the zone and just let you continue to dig yourself. You might as well go up and hit with a shovel because you just keep digging the hole. So it looks like finally there comes a time when a hitter is really, really struggling where you have to let go of the numbers. You have to let go of the obvious, glaring, disgusting average you've had in the last 10, 12, 15, whatever games that you've been in, and just be humble and say, look, I'm just focusing on today. I'm going to focus on this at bat. Let me hit the ball hard. I don't care where it lands. This is my game plan. This is what I know. Let's reel it back and keep it simple. And that, to me, is what he's doing. I think that again, I'm not in his head, but to me it's evidenced by the controlled swings he takes and the pitch selection. And that seems to me like that's improved.
A lot of times when you're in a slump, I can't remember who said it, but they felt like they woke up out of bed down 0-2.
Yes.
Alarm clock goes off, you put your feet down, put on the slippers, and you're already down 0-2 in the count. Like, you haven't even got to the ballpark yet. And if that happens, it's hard to, if that's the feeling, it's hard to see a strike and not swing at it. But if you're not down 0-2, like the discipline to see a pitch that's a strike and not swing at it because it's a pitcher's pitch that's a strike, to lay off that because all you're going to do is it's going to be inducing a ground ball because that pitcher's putting it where it needs to be. If you've got 2 strikes, understandable. You can't strike out looking, put the ball in play. But if you don't have 2 strikes, you don't necessarily have to swing at that pitcher's pitch that may be on the corner that's a strike. And I wonder how hard that is to do when you're trying to break out of a slump. So you end up seeing a strike and I'm swinging, but that was a pitcher's pitch and now I've hit a pop-up or a slow roller.
Yeah. It just goes to show how mentally tough this game is from the high school level all the way up to the big leagues. It is really a tough game to master mentally. I mean, yes, physically, yes, emotionally, psychologically, but the mental game is so hard because it just never stops. That's why hitting streaks are such a short thing. These hot streaks, they're not these extended. I mean, only the elite of the elite players can extend them for a long time. Your Tony Gwynns and your George Bretts and just these guys that actually are able to do that. And so you have to stop. You have to have the ability to not care about where the ball goes, because oftentimes you're trying to focus on you're thinking when you're struggling. I'm struggling. I haven't hit a ball hard. I'm a person that hits home runs and gets a lot of RBIs, and they're counting on me, and I'm failing. And then you have to focus on pitch selection, location, speed, spin, and then you're hoping it's going to fall in somewhere because you see the shift of the outfielder. You see how the pitcher's pitching you. I mean, I just mentioned anything that's just going to make you, when you go up, you're just going to it's crazy. It's difficult. And so you have to get to a point where you stop caring about all of those things and wait for a pitch that is a pitch. Okay, I'm looking for an outside fastball, because even if he knows I'm looking for that, he might get me this at bat, he might not. But when I see that pitch, unless I'm 0-2, I'm looking for that pitch in that zone, or at least maybe even not a fastball, but I'm looking for something in that location, because I know I can drive that pitch and nothing else matters. When you make an out, when you're struggling, but you hit the pitch you meant to hit and you hit it hard, you have to go back to the dugout saying that is a victory.
Mm-hmm.
That is, if I got a hit, I'm not even going to look at the numbers, and that's what starts to pull you out of that mental struggle that you get in. And then once you're out of that, like Vinny is, I think, kind of right now, then the game gets fun again. Then you can relax. You start to see the ball. The game slows down. It's just a matter of being able to get there, because the mental game is so difficult.
Everything that you just went through there, the spin, the location, and all, how does anybody hit a major league pitch? I mean, luckily, you're using a flat bat, right? I mean, that makes it a lot easier that bat has like 8 inches of coverage that's totally flat. It's not a rounded object that you're trying to hit a round object.
Well, it's a cylindrical object that you're trying to hit a round one. I mean, you say the word,
dude.
You say the word flat, right? It's not flat at all.
No.
You hold a ball right up to a bat. The surface area of the contact is so minimal compared to surface area of both. And so, yeah, it's crazy. It is a lifetime of hard work mixed with talent, mixed with anything else you could muster up. I mean, it's crazy and it's difficult, and even the best only get a very, very short time. So, it's so hard. And so when guys go through slumps, man, I feel for them, because I've been in too many of them.
Les Norman is our guest. Never a slump when we're hanging out with him, breaking the norm here on a Tuesday in the noon hour. Marte's got some games under his belt and some years under his belt. He's hit the ball hard a number of times this year, and it's kind of been just lazy fly balls. And he hit that one, and no way, shape, or form did I think that thing was going 440 and the longest home run of the season so far for any Royals player, and is going to be halfway up the batter's eye when it landed. I was hoping, like, okay, does it get over his head? Does it land somewhere? It ultimately did. Look, I love that Marte showed that he still had it. He's got that from time to time. It'd be nice if he showed it more often, but dang, I didn't know he still had that power left.
And I mean, he does. He obviously has that body type. He's still really strong. But let's remember, the hardest thing, we talk about the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. The hardest thing in baseball to do is sit for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, and then get up and be expected to come through. And then when you don't, people think you're the worst player in the world. So it is really, really difficult. I've told the story before, so I won't make it a super long one, but I got to sit in a dugout next to Hubie Brooks, and I got to pinch hit for my maybe once a month pinch hit, and did not come through. Sat back down, frustrated at myself, didn't blame anybody or anything, just like, oh man, I should have drove that pitch, and I didn't get a good swing on it. And Hubie walked over and said, hey man, it is the hardest thing to do, is to sit the bench and go up and be expected to come through. It's just difficult, and you've got to really be mentally strong in order to do that. And so, like, I remember seeing Ryan O'Hearn when he was with the Royals, and people were really getting on him, but he wasn't playing every day, and probably should have been. Nobody knew what he was capable of yet. So it's really hard. So I'm not surprised that he can do that. He's just been getting a few more at-bats and getting his timing down and seeing the ball. And even though he's older in baseball years, he's still able to do stuff like that. I mean, imagine if he played every day. I don't know if he could play the outfield at his age and experience as good as he could hit, but even so, he just needs to be able to play like anything. It's just repetition.
Yeah, and he's so good at hitting lefties, and Lane Thomas is here to hit lefties, and Michael Massey has turned it on, which is really cool. With India being out for the year, it's like, hey, can somebody step up? Well, they've had hopes about Massey's bat, and this is a short stretch, so we'll see. I mean, we talked about a couple of years ago in 2024, MJ Melendez had a 6-week stretch where he OPS'd at like 880. Well, we know what MJ Melendez is, and he ain't an 880 OPS guy, but he got crazy hot, and that was awesome. Massey has been really hot and OPSing at 950 in his last 15 games. So that's not who he is, but if he can hit consistently, that'd be great. But the last thing for you, Les, because we were talking about Marte there and then mentioning Lane Thomas. And, I don't know if we've talked about this before or not, but it was a question my son asked the other night. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask Les Norman that. And he said, because we were talking about lefty-righty matchups, right? And I said, well, this is a guy that he's coming out of the game because this guy hits lefties better than righties. And he goes, but all these righties are staying in against righties. And he goes, so why is it lefties different? And I said, I'm going to ask a professional that because I don't know the answer. Why is it that we see lefties are so tough to hit lefties where righties have hit righties and you don't necessarily have to have a short side platoon for a righty?
Man, you might. This might disappoint you and your son, but you might have to ask a physics major because I can't. I don't know. I can't figure this out. For me, I didn't concern myself with the righty-lefty matchup as a hitter. Righties didn't bother me. I didn't necessarily see lefties any better, just because of me finding release points. So. I don't know. So I'm sure there's probably 50 people out there that are yelling at the radio right now, like, I know, that's a lame answer. I don't know. I mean, lefties, and I mean this in a good way, but lefties are all freaks. I mean, they wear their hats different, and they think different, and, they're able to, I don't know. They're just freakishly good from that side, and so I'm not sure. But as a hitter, I just don't want to let that get in my head. If you as a manager don't want me to face lefties because I'm a left-handed hitter, okay, fine. But given the chance that I do, I'm not buying into the fact just because you won't put me in against lefties on a consistent basis, I'm not automatically in my head thinking, okay, well, because he's doing, I'm not supposed to be able to hit against lefties. If that happens to me, I'm frustrated. I'm like, I can hit against a lefty. Put me in there against a lefty. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's probably changed now, but I think righties are more predominant. There's more righties than there are lefties. Maybe that's changed now. It used to seem like there was more righties. I did not fact check that, but I think that's the case. So maybe that has something to do with it, but let's talk to the science smarties on that one.
Yeah, I guess, growing up, you don't see many left-handers, and so when you're developing, it's always the right-handers that you're going up against. But I told him to keep this mentality because he was like, he didn't understand it because in the little bit of time he's played the last 3 years in kid pitch, he's like, he bats lefty. And he said, I like the left-handed pitchers. He goes, I can see the ball in the hand quicker. When it's being released, it's not behind their head. So I can see it quicker. He goes, I like the farthest ball he's hit was against a lefty. And he's like, no, I like when I face lefties. And I'm like, well, keep that mentality, dude. Just keep that mindset that you feel more confident when there's a lefty up there. Because he's like, I don't get it. Why do these lefties not hit lefties? Well, it's Major League Baseball, buddy. So it's hard to hit these guys that have freak stuff. But he was confused, and I'm like, I don't know either, man. Because yes, you hit lefties better than I don't know why, but you do.
Jason, the toughest pitcher I ever faced was Norm Charlton, and I mean he threw hard. But it was kind of near the end of his career, and he was coming out of the bullpen, but it was because he threw his screwball was like a guy with a hard right-handed slider, so he would throw it at you, and it's that quick little buckle, and then it would bust over the inside part of the plate, but it was hard to pick the spin up because of the way he threw. So I mean, sometimes you got to just throw lefties probably hit him a little bit better. I mean, there's the traditional lefty-lefty, righty-righty matchup, but sometimes it's the opposite. So baseball's just weird, man. It's weird.
It is. Les Norman is our guest. It was a weird day for Josh Rojas. Last one for you. That dude, he's in the minors. He's bounced around a little bit. He plays 2 games in one day, and he ends up getting the game-winning hit. I can't imagine if there's going to be a better day for him in his major league career than how crazy that day was, and to have it culminate and end like that.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love seeing on social media they were tracking. Okay, he started the day here, then he missed this flight, and then he got there, but the game was delayed, and then he got to the game, got in the 9th inning, and got the hit, and it was a nasty pitch, and it wasn't the best of mechanics either, and he still got it was
booty knock.
It was such an awesome day for him, and something that I know he'll always remember because I know we'll always remember it too. It was a great day, and I love those journeyman guys that just keep getting those chances and then they come through. It's that kind of at bat that you're going to come to somebody else's mind before you retire, like, well, should I still play? And then somebody wants to sign you, and you can make a little bit more money and you can make your career a little bit longer just because you can do stuff like that. So what a great story.
Yeah.
What a great day.
Yeah, it was a really awesome story and cool for him. And, it came through. And speaking of our conversation, one of the things he said at the in the interview when it was over and said, well, I got an opportunity and it was a favorable matchup for me. So there you go. It was that righty that throws, sidearm a little bit. I was in there, favorable matchup. So yeah, it worked in my favor in this particular time. So you
that's
never know.
Humility, because it wasn't a favorable matchup because his lower half was gone. He just had good hands.
That's
so
right, yeah.
I appreciate the humility in that, but he did a great job keeping his hands back and staying through the ball. So sometimes you got to give yourself credit when credit's due, and he did a good job.
For sure. Les Norman, our guest, Breaking the Norm, presented by truckmovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Les, appreciate the time as always, brother. We will talk next week.
Absolutely. We'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, hanging out with him as we do on Tuesdays. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. More Zone coming up right after this. Two days away from the world's biggest soccer tournament, it has arrived, and you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. And on Kalshi, you can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. It's Kalshi, the world's largest prediction market and the first federally regulated financial exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. Regulated in the U.S., available in all 50 states, not based in a different country like some other prediction markets. Kalshi right here in the United States and federally regulated. And with the soccer tournament coming up in a couple of days, with the games here in Kansas City coming up in a week, with the teams here in Kansas City already with base camping, you've got the first game of the World Cup in a couple of days. Mexico taking on South Africa. Mexico trading at 70% right now. $100 is going to win you about 170 or so. But to win it, to win the whole thing, Mexico trading at 1%. Maybe you think, you know what, they're going to start and end the World Cup. They're going to start the World Cup and end the World Cup. $100 is going to win you close to $6,000. Maybe you want to play the favorites, Spain and France, trading at 16% right now. $100 is going to get you, $600 there with Kalshi. Argentina, Algeria coming up a week from today. Maybe it's the NBA you want to trade on. On Kalshi, you're trading against the peers, your peers, in a live market. There's no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Maybe you put money on Mexico at 1%. They start getting hot. It jumps up to 10%. Well, now I can trade out, and now I've made money off my investment with Kalshi. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code JASON810. That's JASON810 to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, 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 trade the beautiful game.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
All right, hanging out here on Sports Radio 810 WHB on a Tuesday edition. We will hear from, coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, Harrison Butker, Josh Simmons, and Noel Williams. L'Jarius Sneed is at practice today, not participating, but he's out there at the mandatory minicamp wearing sweats and watching. And Mansour Delane did not participate in practice today. Did not have a helmet on at practice, was not participating. So we'll ask Noel Williams for the update on that.
So season's over.
That's right. Yeah, we will not get an update on that because none of the coaches are going to be talking, or Rick or anything like that. So we won't get injury updates as to who's available, who's not. We'll hear from Andy Reid on Thursday, maybe give those updates. But Mansour Delane didn't have a helmet on at practice, not participating. So there you go. So
That means he's good. That means he's already CB1. They said, hey, take a break.
Yep. What I'm saying is the two starting cornerbacks for the Chiefs this year did not participate today with Sneed and Delane.
Wow.
That's what we can glean is the Chiefs already feel so good about those guys. You don't have to practice anymore. Don't do it. Don't practice. Just save yourself for the Broncos Monday Night Football. You sit these things out and just get ready to go for September 14th. That's what I read into it.
Any other reason?
What other reason could it be?
They're both getting cut.
Oh, that's the other reason. That's right. Man, that would be quite the dead cap hit if you were to release Mansour Delane.
Yeah, shocking.
You'd have to make it a post-June one so you can spread it out.
Yeah, well, look at the past. Wait, what if you sign post June 1? Does it still?
Can they still cut him post June 1?
Still cut him post June 1.
Designate that. All right, so I guess we're going to have these press conferences a little bit early. So so much for the 1 o'clock press conference here.
Nothing like a 12:43.
I know, for a 1 o'clock press conference, practice got over early. I mean, they've already moved up practice. They're avoiding the World Cup stuff coming up next week with Kansas City and Kansas City Stadium, so the Chiefs aren't going to be around for that. So we will hear from
Butker. Might be
I
the
think
first
we're
one.
going to hear from Harrison Butker first when he gets up to the podium. So the practice is over. Everybody's in the media room and congregating and getting ready for Harrison Butker to go and talk. We'll hear from Harrison Butker. We'll hear from Noel Williams. We'll hear from Josh Simmons. A couple of those guys that are going into their second year. A couple of those guys. And Butker going into later on in his career that it's a big season for Harrison Butker. Let's just say that. It's a big season for Butker to go out and perform with the contract that he has. He's no longer the highest paid kicker in the league, but the contract that he has, we talked about the misses last year, that he was the only one that missed that many field goals, extra points, and wasn't released by the team that he was on, and that's because he was making a lot of money. It's a big season for Harrison Butker. Let's listen in to Harrison Butker.
Last year I didn't really do it much, so I think this offseason I haven't had to focus on that at all. I can just focus on kicking the ball, making sure it feels good off the foot. So yeah, don't want to change too much from last year, I guess.
Harrison, when you look back at last year, what stands out to you, just for you individually?
Slow start. I think when you start the season off with misses, your back's kind of against the wall mentally. It kind of takes a toll on you. It's just not great. And I climbed out of it. I finished the season. I think I was above middle of the pack. Obviously, you don't even want to be there, but you don't want to start out the season missing as much. And I think the focus is just to have a great training camp, to be very competitive with myself. And, preseason, sometimes you don't get a lot of reps. I don't think last preseason we got too many field goals, or maybe they were shorter field goals. But just hoping I can have a good training camp and start out strong for the season.
I think like last week you hit a couple 60-yarders in a row. Do you sense that your neutral condition range has been extended, and how do you think that?
I'd say it's probably similar. With starting the season last year with the misses, and they were longer misses, I don't know. I feel like I was just so focused on hitting the big ball, especially when it's like a 56-yarder and I'm trying to crush it when there's no need to. If you just hit it smooth, it'll still go over the crossbar. So for the rest of that season, I just didn't really care about hitting a big ball, and I really haven't focused on that during OTAs. And it just tells you when you're smooth and you have good foot-to-ball contact and you're feeling strong, the ball's going to go. You don't need to overpower it. And, again, kicking's just such a mental skill that if you're going out there and you don't have the right mindset, that can really affect you a ton.
Yeah, so you talk about the mental part. I know there was some distraction throughout the offseason last year that kind of may have affected your play during the season. But with all that set aside, how have you been able to overcome all that? Because I know you talked about your injuries and what you were trying to do. So you feel like you're 100%, no distraction, that you've been able to work on and get you ready for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I've just focused on my family, 4 children. We got some chickens, so that's been fun. Just trying to stay away from social media and just focus on football, hanging out, being a better husband, being a better father. Has been helpful, and those are the most important things.
Some guys have said that the break was, in some ways, a benefit because you get the 5 extra weeks. Where did you feel it most helpful for your body and how you wanted to maybe ramp up for this season?
Those first couple weeks after the season, I just focused a ton on flexibility and mobility. So when I showed up here, I felt like my body could move exactly how I wanted it to. I mean, when you play all the way to the Super Bowl, maybe you're a little bit more banged up, but you're also just mentally fatigued and you kind of want to get away. And then before you know it, you're showed up for phase 2 and you're kind of back in the ring. So I think it was just focusing on getting healthy. And obviously as a kicker, I'm very blessed. I don't have the contact injuries, but just making sure you're feeling good. So very thankful for that extra time.
Last 2, Todd and Mackenzie.
I know you grew up playing a lot of soccer. Are you going to get to go to any World Cup matches? What's your excitement for this?
So I got to see Messi when Miami played Sporting KC here. So that was awesome. It'd be great to see him again, but I am a Ronaldo fan. So hopefully if Portugal and Argentina are playing, isn't there a chance for quarterfinals? I'm sure ticket prices will be up there, but I'd love to see Ronaldo in his probably last World Cup tournament.
My question is Portugal who you're pulling for, and are you going to try to catch any of the matches at Arrowhead?
I don't have a team that I'm rooting for. Again, if Ronaldo's playing, I'll try to make the game. Obviously, you're rooting for the home team, U.S., but we'll see what happens. I will be very happy if Ronaldo can win the World Cup, though. Right? Isn't that like the last thing he's got to win? So.
Is it cool to have it in Kansas City, though, like being from here, having
been
so long?
Yeah, I mean, whether I'm in there in the stadium watching it or just on TV, to see these top world-class athletes from across the world playing in Arrowhead Stadium, and, we only have a couple more years here, will be awesome to see. And for the whole city. I mean, I'm excited to see the people that come in to town and how it kind of changes the city for, I don't know how long, a couple months. So.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there's Harrison Butker, and interesting, he talked about the rest of the season was impacted by the slow start, that it took a toll on him mentally throughout the rest of the season, which is interesting because he started off the year with that amazing field goal before half.
Yeah.
With the scramble drill and the fire drill and all of that stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about Harrison Butker. Here's Josh Simmons.
Just evaluated it. What really stood out to you? I would say consistency. I wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be. I think a lot of people could see that, so that's probably just something I'm hammering right now.
What ways?
I would say just kind of making everything look the same, whether it's technique-wise, hand placement, etc., stuff like that.
When you did play and perform, were you satisfied with your game?
I wasn't livid at it, but there's always room.
What do you feel like you need the most improvement from last year to this year? It seemed like you were obviously in much better shape than probably where you came in at last year. So what do you feel like your biggest improvements are going to be this year?
I'm just hammering, just kind of learning defenses and kind of getting patterns from a defense, just that whether if it's a box or a D-line, I could just, take advantage of.
Now, you have been it before last year, but what have you learned from Eric Bieniemy by seeing him for the first time, and what have some of the teammates told you about how he coaches us?
He's going to bring it. He's intense, and even the first meeting, I was ready to run into a wall, so I'm glad he's in the room because we definitely feed off it.
Looks like you worked on your body a little bit in the off season.
A little bit.
That was focused.
I mean, it was kind of a side effect of just kind of working out every day. So, but yeah.
It looks like you're more cut up. Man.
Tried to, man. Just try to get more strong.
How challenging was the injury last year? I mean, it seemed like you were finally hitting the stride again, and that happened. And just how challenging was it to go through that?
It was a challenge, but I've been in the injured before, so I know what to do.
What did you find to be most enjoyable about last season, being in the NFL, and what did you find to be most difficult that you need to necessarily want to get over that sort of hurdle, per se?
I would say being able to go play basketball one-on-one with the top DNs in the world on every Sunday, and then during the week. So that's one. But two, it's also they know patterns from the offensive line more than you do. So you definitely gotta never underestimate anybody. That's probably the first thing I'll tell you.
Josh, how hard was it for you to get back in the spring after you were gone for a while last year? Was it difficult to kind of get back to physicality and all that stuff after being away?
Nothing can replicate actual in-game stuff, so I just try to stay in the playbook as much as I can. That way, when I came back, I was ready.
So what do you weigh now? What do you want to weigh when you play?
I'm around 85, 90. Want to be 3 flat when I take first snap.
Josh, how different is this offseason been for you, considering last offseason you're just trying to get your body healthy?
One more time.
How different has this offseason been for you, been able to, you mentioned working out as opposed to last year, you were doing a lot of rehab this time of year. How different is it? What have you been able to take advantage of in that sense?
Yeah, I'm not in the training room. I can actually get on the field, get in a film room and kind of just pick at that more than just being in the training room, working on BFR, et cetera. So.
Most players say that second year back, you notice a big difference with the injury that you had. Have you hit that point yet where you're seeing that you feel like you're different shape than maybe you were a year ago at this time?
Sure. You're stacking bricks constantly, so the results will come inevitable.
Josh, you were on that video with Brandon Thorne, kind of breaking stuff down. You talked about Eric Bieniemy and the details. Just how much does he focus with you on details, and how much it's going to matter and elevate your game?
I'd say it's more repetition. Like I said, patterns. If you kind of build that habit, it's just gonna show up. It can't not show up on Sunday. So that's what I try to do.
Anything any advice, anything you shared with Patrick about coming back from a knee injury, and just your overall thoughts of seeing what he's been able to do so far?
He's a dog. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. He's a dog. He's gonna be great, and he's gonna handle it.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, there's Josh Simmons, year number 2 for the Chiefs left tackle. Missed a number of games last year and recovering from that injury that allowed him to slide as late as he did in the first round, and now having an offseason in which he didn't have to go and rehab the injury. And apparently, body looks a little more svelte, a little more cut up. Here's Noah Williams.
I took away from that just 2 elite guys, earning their money, Obviously, it's sad to see them go, but, they went to another great team, and, it gives me an opportunity to step up, try to fill their shoes, and the whole room got to step up, because those are 2 good guys, so.
In what ways last year did they maybe guide you to make you ready for this?
Just how to watch film, how to play the scheme here, how to, adapt to what Spags likes in the corner, just how to work, how to practice, how to just be a pro in general.
How much more comfortable are you right now than 1 year ago when it was all brand new to you?
For sure, way more comfortable than last year, I would say that I'm getting, the terminology is, easier, it's more ingrained into my brain now. Scheme, second year in the defense, you should catch on or you're not studying, so.
Was there a spot last year where you started getting more comfortable during the season? Or I know it's a thing that's an ongoing process, maybe you're never fully comfortable. But.
Yeah, the more reps you get, the more comfortable. So you just gotta be intentional to the details. And if I do that, I was, making sure I was on the details, I got more comfortable.
No, you played a lot more in those last 4 or 5 weeks. What did you, when you go back and look at those games for yourself, how do you evaluate that?
I would say it's just, growth, it's like, I don't know, it's just, it's up and down, there's good, there's bad, there's things that you can always work on. So I just saw a lot of growth in my play. I got more confident in myself as the games went on all the way back to the Raider game.
Anything in particular that stands out to you that you need to work on from those real reps you got late last year?
Yeah, just working on my feet at the line of scrimmage. Still working on, formation recognition. Just being a football IQ guy, knowing what's going to happen before it happens.
Is your outlook on the season any different, knowing that you're probably going to be asked to take on a greater role as opposed to last year as a rookie, where you were just ready to do what was asked of you?
I'm still attacking it the same, attack it even harder now. Like, I would be lying if, they expect, a lot from me, but, I'm ready for it. I'm prepared, gonna keep preparing. Still in the off season and going to training camp, so just gotta keep preparing.
Knowing that, what have your conversations been like with Spags?
Say that again?
Knowing that you may have a more expanded role, what have your conversations been like with Coach Spags?
Just the same. I mean, it's not about me at the end of the day. It's about, just bettering the defense. So it's about just doing the right thing, running to the ball, giving effort, and just making sure my room and defense is just gelling together.
In this practice, you had an interception in 7 of the end zones. What did you see on that play, and how much can that give you confidence in just a little thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen Xavier come across the formation, and, Holmes can extend the play. So, I had nothing to the flat. Just got to squeeze the formation, and, he threw it up.
And what does that type of play do for you, like a confidence
one? It's a good play, but, on to the next. Got to do it again, only as good as your last, so. Yeah.
No, I know you didn't play with L'Jarius Sneed, but he got re-signed. Is that a guy, I think his shadow probably loomed here. You probably heard Spags talk about him a bunch. First off, did you meet him yet? Is he someone you watched when he was playing for the Chiefs or the Titans when you were younger?
For sure. I've watched him throughout my college career. He's a good cornerback, addition to our defense, addition to our DB room. And I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting him, learning from him, and he knows what it looks like. He knows how to, be a championship DB on a championship team.
You've got such a young group, and you've had a lot of turnover. Who are kind of the guys that you are leaning on now, that you kind of go to for advice and support?
I would say Shamari Connor, Nick Bolton, Christian Roland Wallace, Jaden Hicks, all the guys out here before me. And I can even learn from the young guys, because the young guys, they might see stuff that I don't see. So I just try to learn, soak in all the information I can.
Thanks, Noel.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, there's Noel Williams, and talking about year number 2 for the cornerback that will have to take on a larger role this year and step up and play at a higher, more consistent level than a year ago. And Chiefs may not have a choice. Spags may not have a choice but to play Noel Williams. They didn't have a choice late in the season, finally did it. We'll see. But Christian Fulton, L'Jarius Sneed signed this year, or 2 days, yesterday. Was in here, came into town about the 4th, I guess. So he had to pass a physical. So hopefully that means that
that's a good sign.
Knee is okay.
It's a great sign
to be able to sign that contract. So that's good. Noel hasn't met him yet, but did watch him throughout his career. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. We'll talk about what we heard from these particular players. Noel Williams said something there that I want to get into and talk about, kind of leading into what we were discussing there, or what we were discussing leading into the conversation around Noel Williams and Harrison Butker's pivotal season ahead of him, just like a Game 4 in the NBA Finals. But Harrison Butker does have a big season coming up this year, and what he talked about as to why the difference of the first half to the second half of the season was there for him. More Zone coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Heading up until 2 o'clock, we heard from the Kansas City Chiefs, Harrison Butker, Josh Simmons, and Noel Williams. Very different parts of the team. Special team, offense, and defense. Two of those guys, rookies from a year ago.
All three phases.
That's right. I don't even know what the phases are anymore. Like, they say 3 phases, but they never actually tell us what those phases are. So I don't know what they are. So I just assume that that they're like pick and roll. Is that a phase?
Yeah.
The double play, is that a phase?
Correct, yes.
Yes. Shift. I guess it is a shift. That is a phase. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you got a couple of guys that are entering year number 2, and Harrison Butker entering year number 10 for him. I want to start backwards from Noel Williams and then get into a little bit of Harrison Butker, because we're talking about L'Jarius Sneed, obviously with Mansour Delane, with McDuffie and Watson, leaving and going to L.A., there is a turnover in the secondary with the cornerbacks, and Brian Cook leaving and Justin Reed a year ago. So there's a lot of different new faces that are there. But, he talked about the technology, or the terminology is easier, the scheme, you get more used to it, some of the things that you figured you would hear from. But he was asked about the opportunity that was there. It was later on in the press conference, and I liked the follow-up that was specifically about what did you talk to Spags about, because the previous question was about opportunity, and he said, well, actually, I'm attacking it even harder now because of that chance that's there. And he said, I'd be lying if I said that they didn't expect a lot from me this year. Now, I don't think Noel Williams goes and says they expect a lot from me this year if there hasn't been a conversation with the coaches that have said, we expect a lot from you this year.
Yeah, I can also see, as a guy who confident and putting pressure on himself, understanding that a lot of guys have left. And I'm sure that you're right. I'm sure Spags and Dave Merritt have said, hey, man, Watson's gone, McDuffie's gone. Look at the opportunity. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for you.
Hey, and we expect you. We drafted you for a reason. We traded up for a reason. We expect you for year 1 to year 2. Go get it done. Get it done.
I think you say that, but, and again, I think we all expect Williams, Mansour Delane to be the starting 2 outside corners. I think we expect that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it should be expected that Noel and Mansour are the starting outside corners, and then we'll see who's going to start at the slot. But I'm sort of writing that in. If you're coming up with a depth chart right now, I would have Noel Williams and Mansour Delane on the opposite sides of the outside.
But also, you want to let him know that there's competition, that, hey, L'Jarius is right here. Hey, Christian Fulton, I know he didn't play a lot last year, but the last few games, he looked pretty good. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that. If you wanted to even try and push it farther, say, hey, was he a 3rd-round draft pick? No, because they used that pick to trade up. Hey, but Kyrie Elam's the 1st.
Yeah.
Rather, like, if you're trying to say, hey, we expect you, but look who's waiting in the wings. I know we didn't work out for Buffalo, but that's Buffalo.
Yep.
You KC now. Look what we've done with former first-round guys.
Yeah. We can turn some guys around, and we can get the best out of them, which means that we want to get the best out of you, which means if we're not getting the best out of you, it might be something that's going on with you. Because we can look at some of the successes the Chiefs have had in the secondary, but it is not across the board 100%. I mean, they cut a 6th-round pick before that guy ever played a game in the NFL at training camp, because this was not going to work. There are some guys that you cut from ability. There's some guys that you cut because you just don't want to be around them. That seemed to be more of the latter. And I just don't really want to be, not really a dude that we want to be around, and not good enough to have to put up with not wanting to be around the dude.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hear that, and in my mind, I'm just imagining a conversation that would take place with Spags and Dave Merritt about, hey, it's not only an opportunity, but somebody has to play that. And if we're going to go back to a Super Bowl, if you're Spags and Dave Merritt talking to the guy in the room and saying, hey, if we're going to go back to a Super Bowl, you're going to be a part of that. Like, we expect this. Because remember back, Dave Merritt didn't necessarily, I think it was this time in 2023, so 3 years ago, they didn't necessarily hold back in their disappointment in what Williams and Watson did from year 1 to year 2, that they thought there was going to be this step up and this progression in play, and it sounded like they were almost insinuating, I'm not sure what these guys did in the offseason. I'm not sure what was going on. because it's open and nobody's taking it, and they were disappointed in what they were seeing from those guys in the offseason or the OTAs and then training camp for year number 2. Having that in mind, I do wonder if there's, now you talk with Noel Williams about, hey, this opportunity ahead of you. We've had some guys in the past that performed in year 1. You saw some talent. You saw some sparks from him. You thought there was going to be a progression, and in fact, they took a step back. Heck, Jaden Hicks, year 1 to year 2, took a step back, even in terms of how much he was playing.
Mike Connor did a little bit,
right,
too.
Yes. They expected more of Jaden Hicks. They put more on his plate, and he didn't respond.
And they basically said that out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Spags,
they're pretty honest when it comes to, hey, we think you do well, we'll love you up.
Mm-hmm.
We think that you're better than what you've shown so far with Williams, with Watson, and with Hicks. They somewhat let you know about.
We'll say it publicly.
Hey, we expected more from you. We thought you'd perform a little better.
Yep.
And part of it's because obviously they think that you're a good enough player, right? They're not saying that about not trying to take a shot, but like Kevin Knowles or
I was going to say Kevin Knowles as well.
Right, like
undrafted free agent.
If you
get there,
something.
he works his way in. They're not going to go. I mean, honestly, it's. Can I put him out there with Kevin Knowles? I don't know. With where it was Jaden Hicks, rookie year. Felt like maybe there was going to be the transition from Justin Reed to Jaden Hicks, and it didn't happen. And it might have been a disappointment to Spags, and they might have then been caught off guard of, oh, wait, we are going to miss Justin Reed this year because this is not happening to the level that we thought we were going to put this on his plate, and it was just going to be plug and play. And that's now not the case, so we've got to figure out some other things here. And this guy isn't going to play as much because, that's just not really working out. And if Noel Williams is saying, hey, look, they expect a lot from me, it's probably they expect a lot from me to also improve from a year ago, to get better from what I did a year ago. The terminology, the scheme, understanding that my feet at the line of scrimmage, recognizing formations, knowing the route before it happens. Those are things that he spent the offseason and talking about what he spent the offseason doing. But the follow-up after he said the opportunity of attack even harder and they expect a lot from me was, what have your conversations been like with Spags? And then he said, with Spags, it's just been the overall defense. Being a player of running the football, knowing what's going on, and being a member of the overall defense, not just specifically you.
Well, I think that's why the Chiefs' defense has been at times really good with maybe lesser than players. And when I say lesser, I'm not trying to say they're not good players, but we're not talking,
They haven't had force multipliers at tons of positions.
Yeah, but what do they do well? A lot of times the defense does the little things well.
Yeah.
They tackle well. They rally to the football. The cornerbacks are good open field tacklers, which you look around the NFL on other given days and watch other teams and their cornerbacks are whiffing or unwilling to tackle.
Why would you ever throw the ball to a wide receiver down the line of scrimmage quickly?
Against the Chiefs.
Does it against the Chiefs? Does it result in any positive yards? Like, they're one of the best teams in the league. That happens, and I just expect there to be a loss of yards or maybe a 1-yard gain, but there's no big play that happens when teams do that.
No, they don't, because this team rallies. A lot of times that's why they like the bigger-bodied guys, but even McDuffie, who was a smaller corner, he was...
Willing tackler.
Willing tackler.
Yes. Yeah, you got to be able to do that. Snead was that. Noel Williams is that. We've seen some of those things. Joshua Williams was that guy as well. You saw Jalen Watson. I don't know if I've mentioned him or not, but Jalen Watson was that guy. The guys that were willing tacklers. And look, we remember that playoff game, the Miami Dolphins, when it was frozen out there, and L'Jarius Sneed in his play against Tyreek Hill on a couple of those plays. Trent McDuffie in Germany against Tyreek Hill. A play that was down the line of scrimmage. McDuffie reading it, makes the tackle, strips the football, laterals it to whoever recovered it, and then laterals it to Brian Cook. And Brian Cook running down the sideline like he was a sprinter with his knees almost touching the second deck. Like, that was like the teach tape for a sprinter, in track, running the 100, like just knees in the air, just sprinting. Like, wow, this guy, he's got some technique there to him. But yeah, I mean, we've seen this team do that, and that's also, by the way, to me, that's an added benefit of having L'Jarius Sneed back. If L'Jarius Sneed doesn't make the team, he at least, and if he doesn't make the team, it wouldn't be until, cut down after training camp. He at least knows the defense and can be a mentor and, sort of a pseudo coach on the field with these guys to help them understand the why. Not just the what, but the why, because once you understand the why, everything else will make more sense and it'll fall into place. It's like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is why you're supposed to do it. And L'Jarius Sneed knows Spags' system and plays cornerback the way that I think Spags envisions cornerbacks playing.
Is there any concern that L'Jarius Sneed almost becomes like a Derek Nottie, where at one point Derek Nottie was very good in his role, but then he came back and unfortunately just didn't have it anymore, and so he became somebody that the fan base pointed fingers at, and for good reason. But L'Jarius Sneed is 29 years old with a knee that saw him get cut from a massive contract halfway through. Played 12 games in 2 years. Is there a chance that maybe he's the guy that now becomes, hated from being a fan favorite?
So the difference I would put there is I would throw Derek Nottie into that comparison if a couple of things happened. If they had already signed Kyrus Tonga and drafted Caden McDonald from Ohio State, more of the run-stuffing defensive tackle, and then Derek Nottie was on the team. The problem with Derek Nottie is he was brought on the team to be the starter, to be the guy that's going to be a run-stuffer, and he just wasn't good enough to do it anymore. If L'Jarius Sneed is being signed because, McDuffie's gone and Watson's gone, and we didn't draft Mansour Delane, and they don't have Christian Fulton, and it's Noel Williams and Kevin Knowles that are the cornerbacks, and you sign L'Jarius Sneed, and he goes out there and he's getting beat, and he's not the guy, and his knee injury, people are going to be annoyed at L'Jarius Sneed the way they were annoyed at Derek Nottie. But I think they were annoyed at Derek Nottie, but it was really, I'm annoyed at Brett Veach. And the issue is the fact that Derek Nottie's on the field, which is a Brett Veach issue, but I am complaining about Derek Nottie being on the field, whereas the Chiefs have Noel Williams, they drafted Mansour Delane, Christian Fulton if need be. They've thrown some numbers at it. Kennedy, Christian Roland Wallace, Cater Kohu to play the slot specifically. Whereas if L'Jarius Sneed comes in, I feel like he's more raising the floor than he's the starter now, the way that Derek Nottie was.
The reason that I bring up Derek Nottie is because they did trade for him last year, but they approached the offseason like, we are going to sign. They signed Jerry Tillery.
Yeah.
So they very quickly were like, okay, this guy's not it. But they had Mike Pennell on the roster last offseason. They cut him in training camp, but
and then traded for Derek Nottie, who they could have just signed anyway.
But it's almost like, is Sneed the guy that they're bringing in because they think he can be a veteran presence, but then he very quickly becomes, we don't know if Noah Williams is going to take that step. We don't think Christian Fulton is all that, so he therefore is a starter.
Now there is a scenario here where, to your point, like right now it's like, hey, offers depth, familiar with everything. But if he's forced to play and he gets in there and he just doesn't have it anymore, then there becomes an annoyance of, here we go with Brett Veach going back to the old familiar face. Let's get the band back together. Like, who are you going to sign? Same guys you've always had. And, Spags can't take something that's a busted up toy and put it under the Christmas tree and have you open it up and act like it's a brand new present. Like, that's not going to happen. And that's what they're trying to do with L'Jarius Sneed. But I think you only get there after injuries. So I think there would be a level of understanding more of, unless, of course, here's another scenario which would not be great, unless, of course, Noel Williams is not performing, is getting beat, and Mansour Delane, early on, you're like, oh my God, he may not be that guy.
But is
that would be a disaster scenario, but I don't think that then goes to, I'm going to be mad at L'Jarius Sneed.
Is there that concern? And I'm not saying it's a concern, because if the Chiefs feel confident that his knee is okay and that they can get something out of him, then I think we should trust that they can find some role for him. But with Spags getting one of his guys back, we talked a lot about how the defensive line right now, they've got no choice but to play R. Mason Thomas. They've got nobody else.
Yeah.
They've taken the training wheels away from Spags and say, go ride the bike.
Yeah.
With bringing back L'Jarius Sneed, it's almost giving him a little bit more cushion. And if last year when Noel Williams couldn't see the field, I don't think they can be in a position where he doesn't see the field in 2026.
No.
But maybe Sneed is somebody that's like, okay, well, we know this guy can play.
That's interesting.
So, Noel, you're going to sit behind and just learn a little bit more, and maybe they have to split snaps, and even that might have an impact.
Well, somebody's going to have to play the two corner spots, and I expect one of them to be Mansour Delane. So
it better be.
It better be, right, and I expect that. I think it will. But the other side, I think, is an unknown. And a year ago, you weren't forced into playing Noel Williams. You clearly weren't forced into playing Christian Fulton throughout the season until the end when those guys finally got out there. And it looked like they held their own when they finally got out there. Without Snead, it felt like, okay, the starting corners are Mansour Delane and Noel Williams. Unless Christian Fulton is amazing in training camp, although he didn't even show up to the voluntary stuff. So how committed is he to the Chiefs? You can ask that question. Does Christian Fulton feel like he's going to be a cap casualty and they're going to save $5 million against the cap to cut him? I don't know if I'm in a season where I'm a free agent and I'm trying to earn a spot that I don't show up to the voluntary stuff. I'm not sure I would take that route, but he did. So Fulton's a guy that, they didn't trust last year until they had to put him in. He looked fine. Kyer Elam was a first rounder and hasn't really worked anywhere, but hey, is he going to be able to come in and just play specific, strictly man-to-man and be more of a man-to-man coverage, and you put him in that role? Kevin Knowles, I liked him, but that's more of a depth piece there. Like, I felt like, okay, you're forced to play some of these guys now. I'm hoping, and I want to view it from the positive standpoint here, that if L'Jarius Sneed is playing against the Broncos in the first defensive snap opposite Mansour Delane, it's because L'Jarius Sneed looks like the old L'Jarius Sneed, and not because nobody else was willing to step up or had the ability or didn't step up and take that spot. And Spags went with the Dan Sorensen as opposed to Juan Thornhill. The guy I trust that's going to be there, that maybe doesn't have the overall ability as the guy behind him, but the guy behind him I'm not trusting is going to be there yet, just as he played Dan Sorensen almost that entire season until finally put in rookie Juan Thornhill, and hey, look what happened. The defense got better because Juan Thornhill was a better player with better range than Dan Sorensen. I would worry about if Snead is starting, does it mean he's the best option? Or is Snead the next Dan Sorensen and Noel Williams is the next Juan Thornhill?
If Snead can play 17 games, which is a huge if because
Yeah.
it hasn't happened, if he plays that many games, even if he plays 15 games.
He's played 12 the last 2 years, so...
Let's even say he gives you 12. He gives you 12 in 2026. Is he the better option? Like, you could very well make the case that L'Jarius Sneed, the guy that got paid in Tennessee, is a better cornerback than second-year Noel Williams. You can make that argument. I'll listen to it.
I would say that if he's playing 12 games, then the knee is healthier than it was in Tennessee, obviously. But is it Sammy Watkins' health to where Sammy went through the week and didn't practice, and then on game day I'm good to go, but then plays like 9 or 10 snaps because the leg is bothering him or the hamstring, where Snead is like, he doesn't practice, which he didn't in 2023 with the Chiefs, which is totally fine. He played every game, didn't practice. They were, resting that knee. And if he's out there and it's like, okay, Snead's he's active today. Here are the list of inactives. Snead is active today on game day. Okay, that's good. They feel good about the knee. He goes out there, plays 3 snaps, and looks over to the sideline to Rick Burkholder and goes over there and sits the rest of the game. And that knee is bothering him and flares up from time to time. That would be the worry I would have with the knee, that, hey, maybe he's playing, but is he playing a role to where he's even a third outside cornerback? Or if you're going to keep somebody as depth, they better play special teams. Like if Snead is the 4th or 5th cornerback that they keep on the team, those guys play special teams. And if you're dealing with a knee injury that's been chronic and has bothered you for going on 3 years now, not really the guy that you want to throw out there to get more tread on the tires in special teams.
But do you see a world where, let's say Kyrie Elam plays special teams, but L'Jarius Snead is, he just got signed to the team. What world does Kyer Elam, even though he may play special teams, make the team over somebody that has won back-to-back Super Bowls and knows the scheme and knows Steve Spagnuolo? I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So he's the odd man. I mean, unless it's Christian Fulton, but I don't think it's him because he's getting paid.
Yeah, I don't know that they're willing to take on $8 million of a dead cap hit to save $5 million.
No.
Like, it'd be different if it was a 13. Like, if he had, let's say it was an $8 million cap hit, and the dead cap hit was 3. So they saved 5.
He's
Okay.
gone.
Yeah, you'd be way more willing to save the $5 million if it's only $3 million dead cap hit. But I mean, just because you save the money, you're still paying $8 million to that position. only without that position. So it's very easy to say, well, you can save $5 million. Totally understand. You can save $5 million. And they may be forced into a position to do that. But when Christian Fulton is gone, you still have $8 million in that spot. So even if it's L'Jarius Sneed, then that position is not L'Jarius Sneed making $1 million. That position is $9.25 now, with incentives to get up to 14, because now you're adding up to $5 million or up to 13, I should say, $1 million against the cap, which is what Christian Fulton is making right now against the cap. So, you start to look at it that way. It doesn't make as much sense to move on from Christian Fulton, especially when you've got an often injured Fulton and an often injured Sneed. Maybe together they make one cornerback. We'll see. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. We are getting closer to the biggest soccer tournament arriving in the United States and North America, with Canada and Mexico as well, and we are just 7 days away from the World Cup in Kansas City, with Argentina playing, and it is Kalshi that you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. You can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. From the first game coming up a couple of days to all 4 of those games being played in Kansas City on into the knockout round along the way. And Kalshi, the largest prediction market, first federally regulated financial exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. That matters. Regulated in the United States, available in all 50 states. That matters. Not based in a different country that isn't regulated in certain ways. Also matters. With the game coming up with Argentina in a week, you can maybe play Argentina to win the whole thing. They're sitting there and trading at 8%. Get a decent amount of money with $100 if you were to put money on Argentina to win the whole thing. Now, if you want to put money on Argentina taking on Algeria the first match, you may not take home as much profit. But if you feel strongly about them winning, well, then you know what? Go ahead and trade on that particular market. Mexico, South Africa, they get the tournament underway in just a couple of days. And we'll see what happens with that. Mexico and South Africa. Mexico trading at 70% right now to win that particular game. And on Kalshi, what's really cool and what I love about it is that you're trading against peers in a live market. There's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code JASON810 to get $10 when you trade 10. That's JASON810. Kalshi. Kalshi. Kalshi, trade the beautiful game.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Thank you to Les Norman joining us early in the show. Chiefs press conferences in the previous hour as well. We heard from Harrison Butker. We heard from Noel Williams. We heard from Josh Simmons as well. And we talked a lot about Noel Williams there and the impact with that, and L'Jarius Sneed and what his role may or may not be. In the first hour, we talked about maybe L'Jarius Sneed even playing some safety with how the Chiefs will structure their secondary, whether that be 6 cornerbacks or 5 cornerbacks with 4 safeties that they typically keep 4 safeties every year. It's just what they do. 4 safeties, 5 corners, 4 safeties, 6 corners. They sort of oscillate on the cornerback part of it, but safeties have remained the same. And maybe the best part of the whole thing is that we don't see Shamari Connor working in at the slot, which is fantastic. But we also don't know who the 4th safety will be on this team. Because right now it's Alohi Gilman, Jaden Hicks, Shamari Connor. Maybe it's a combo Christian Roland Wallace as cornerback / safety as the 4th one. Maybe it's Sneed. Because on the roster right now, if you're looking at just safeties, because we know Christian Roland Wallace is working in at the slot and doing that, you've got Gilman, Hicks, and Connor, and then you've got McAllister, Wampa, Sewell, and Singleton. Wampa, Sewell, and Singleton are all undrafted rookies. McAllister's been in the league 3 years, played a total of 6 games. Those are the only other guys on the roster that are safeties after Gilman, Hicks, Connor, and Christian Roland Wallace.
I think we're going to see a lot of combos. I really think we'll see a guy like Jadon Kennedy, I think could be listed as just a defensive back. I think Christian Roland Wallace listed as a defensive back. I think L'Jarius Sneed will be listed as a defensive back. I know it might just not be an S next to their name.
Because Connor last year was listed as safety, but we know he played slot.
We played more slot. And so if you go by that, then they only had 3 safeties last year, right?
Yeah, and 6 cornerbacks.
Right, if that's how you wanted to. And then maybe even Kader Kohu falls that because he's a strict slot.
So that would be a strict corner.
I think they keep 10, by the way. So I think you're on the right page. I think you nailed it. I think 10 is exactly what they're keeping. I just don't think we'll see the traditional, and maybe it still ends up being 6 CBs and 4. But I think you'll see a lot of DBs in there. Just a ton of.
Yeah, what do you got to say about them, man? I think they're fine people.
Multi-use folk. Sneed, Connor, Gilman, Delane Kohu. That's what, 5.
Yeah.
Noel Williams 6, Hicks 7, Fulton 8, Kennedy 9, and that leaves you probably that 10th spot between CRW, Kyrie Elam, and Kevin Knowles.
And you kept Kohu and Kennedy?
As of now, yeah.
Okay.
I think to me it's not even both. I think it's between Kohu and CRW.
Yeah, Kennedy's on the team. If you're looking at who's going to be the predominant slot, I would say it's between Kohu, Kennedy, and Christian Roland Wallace, and it'd be hard to keep all 3 of those guys.
I think the bottom 3 of the 10 are Kohu, CRW, and Kyrie Elam.
Yeah, I could see that because Kennedy is more likely to be, even if he struggles, even if Kennedy is the worst of the 3
he'll
at the
be the
slot.
special team guy.
Yeah, but even if he's ranked as like, okay, the slot corners, we go this range, this is the order, and Kennedy's 3rd, he's got a better chance of being on the team than the guys above him because he's a 4th-round pick, and you got 4 years with him as opposed to 1-year deal with Kohu and whatever's left with Christian Wallace.
He would have to look brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, he would
for a 4th-rounder to be released.
He would have to look. And I don't see that being the case.
Yeah, I don't.
So that's how I see it breaking out as the final 3 spots coming down to Kohu, CRW, and Kyrie Elam.
Yeah. Harrison Butker talked about how much he struggled at the beginning of the season, and it was a slow start, which took a toll on him mentally. The second half of the season is when it got better. It was interesting. He was talking about his range, and so much of kicking now is less of the accuracy, and that's what you pay attention to, because that's a given. That has to be there. But what's your range with the accuracy? Now can you kick 60-yarders, 65-yarders while making them? Aubrey of the world. And what Harrison Butker said reminded me of Aubrey, but not with that crazy of a leg. How many times do we see Aubrey go up for like a 45-yarder, or I'll even say a 55-yarder, and it just looks like he's using a wedge to get it off the fringe onto the green. He's just swinging his leg through, and it's like, dude, that's from 55, and he didn't even really try, right? Because he's that strong of a leg.
Sure.
And interesting, Butker was saying that even the ones that were 50, mid-50, he was trying to kick a big ball, as in like, wow, that was halfway up the uprights from 55. That would have been good from 65 or 70. And he was like, I was trying to do that every time instead of, why don't I just have an easy swing, an easy stroke through the ball, and kick it. And if it goes 55 yards for a 50, great. It's a field goal, and it counts, as opposed to I'm trying to kick it 65 yards for a 50, and now I'm off an inch or so, and now it flies to the right.
I think, to me, there's a big mental side of this that he probably won't talk about, but just my 2 cents on this. He was prior to the new contract, he was the highest paid kicker last year by a decent margin. And you're seeing guys like Brandon Aubrey do what he's doing. Was it Cam Little down in Jacksonville do what he's doing? You're looking at, what was his name for the Chargers doing what he's doing?
Dicker the kicker.
Dicker the kicker. I mean, there was probably 7 or so kickers last year who were really, really good and draining these, 55-plus yard field goals, what felt like at just very regularly. Chris Boswell throws in the categories.
It's a little pitching wedge.
And so I think what was probably, and again, this is the mental side here, he sees that. But he also goes, wait a minute, I'm the highest paid kicker, and now I'm struggling from 52, 55. I got to try and really prove a point here. I got to prove why I'm the highest paid kicker.
Yeah.
And I think that you get in your head a little bit instead of saying, hey, I made this money. It is what it is. Maybe I can't make 65-yarders, but I'm going to be damn good from 55 in. I'm a Morton Anderson this thing, right? But I think there's a mental side of that, and maybe now that he's not the highest paid kicker, maybe some of that pressure is off his shoulders to try and prove a point. But I do wonder how much that played a factor in that.
Yeah, he missed the most kicks last year of his career, combined field goals and extra points, tied with 2022 when he had the ankle injury.
Yes.
And he was battling through the ankle injury. So that's what shows, like last year he was healthy, and it was his worst year combined with the year he wasn't healthy. So I don't know. It was asked as well at the press conference about the offseason when he became a political figure, from the right and the left, and being used, to either to argue your point one way or another. Butker became this guy that you're talking about positively or negatively in the offseason. And he started off pretty rough with the season as well. So maybe that had an impact too. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap things up next. Wrapping things up here on this Tuesday edition of the show. Coming up tonight, Stanley Cup Game 4 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Royals in action. First game of the three-game set against the Texas Rangers.
Do they keep the good times rolling?
I think so. You know, I talked with Les Norman that it feels like, you know, quote-unquote revenge when you play a team a second time in football. You can be more physical than you were the game before. You can spend the week paying a little bit closer attention to the finer details, more locked in the prep. And so you get there and you're more focused and you know, fine-tuned for that particular game. You know, you win the football game Monday through Saturday. You don't win it on Sunday if you don't do the things Monday through Saturday. And in basketball, you know what? We're going to box out even more. We're going to attack the boards. This team is not going to beat us on the boards this time. That's how they won. Okay. In baseball, you can't be like, oh, we're going to be more physical than this team. We're going to show up with more energy.
Albert Bell sure tried to make that happen, though.
That's right. We're going to show up with more energy and more effort than the other team. But I do wonder if there's quote-unquote revenge. Does that come in the form of more consistent, locked-in at-bats, where it's hard to be locked in game after game after game? You're going to have an at-bat or two over a couple of games where you just weren't completely focused or reading the ball out of... Like, why are there at-bats when Salvi looks lost and just waves his bat barely at a ball that's in the dirt and just looks terrible, and then another at-bat to where he sees it and just lets it go? We're like, well, because there's some at-bats where maybe he's like, you know, more locked in than others. That happens. It's just human nature. So I don't know if it takes place from that standpoint of revenge, but I'm hoping the Royals look back at that three-game set against the Rangers and feel like they need to play better baseball than they did because they gave up a lot of runs, and a number of those runs were unearned.
Yeah, and Stephen Kolek, back from the bereavement list and going night, and he's been so good this season. He feels like a good guy to go against the Rangers.
And they saw him the first time, so now it's 2 weeks later. That's the thing about the Royals.
Who has the advantage?
Yeah, the three starters for the Royals are the three starters in the Rangers game.
What's funny is,
from 2 weeks ago.
Pitchers will say that the hitters have the advantage. Hitters will say the pitchers do. It is what it is. What's been nice is Michael Massey has really started to turn it around.
Yes.
Michael Massey and some of those smaller guys have really started to. And Vinny, as I mentioned, Vinny's getting hot. Luckily tonight, Evaldi has struggled a lot this year. He's been a little inconsistent. Obviously, he can strike you out, but, man, he's given up 71 hits this year. Which is not like Evaldi.
No. Nope. And the Royals did not see Evaldi last go-around, but Wednesday and Thursday, they'll see Mackenzie Gore and Kumar Rocker that they saw in the series
Lefty,
last go-around.
Screwed.
Yes.
I know Carter's been in the midst of a little bit of a slump, but
you know what? If you're going to see a team a second time, I'll take my chances with the Royals pitcher seeing a team a second time in Lugo and Waka rather than a couple of younger players like Rocker or Gore.
It's a great call.
And switching things around and being able to work through a lineup a couple times after just seeing them.
They should have a better understanding. And even Kolek, I know he's youngish, but he's still, 28, 29?
Yeah.
He's still a veteran.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see what happens tonight. The program takes over again. Stanley Cup Game 4 coming up tonight right here on Sports Radio 810 W.